That episode was fucking amazing.
It was.
That was fucking amazing. Top 4 ever.
Top 4.
They're just blind to the truth. You know, they're not for the people. They don't care. They just don't. Him saying it can't be based on that, you know, because he has no way to know whether or not it will even help.
I don't think we even need to touch on that. That's about as old news now as you can get.
You want to know about Jesse Smollett? Go somewhere else.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
All right.
Red Eye? And just like a red, white, and blue phoenix rising from the ashes of political bipartisanship, we are back to Salt of the Streets podcast.
This is Saturday, March 2nd, 1:13 p.m., episode 51.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Salt of the Streets podcast, your one and only source for social and political commentary on weekly news, pop culture, and sports, all completely built from the ground up for people like you and me, the everyday, normal person. So come, join us as we discuss life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and continue our endless and tireless efforts to bridge the gap between people and information. As always, we are your hosts. I am Colin.
I am Donovan.
And coming up on this week's show, we have Michael Cohen's congressional public hearing, the North Korea summit. We have a little bit more talk on Venezuela and the ever-evolving situation down there. And we're going to hit on what we can do, or what we should do about these ISIS brides, as they are so called.
Yeah.
And that and probably a whole lot more. We have some basic topics we want to hit, but it's going to be kind of a grab-baggy show again.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think that's it.
Mm-hmm. Before we hit the social media and everything, I just wanted to address some of the things. Last week, housekeeping, we'll call it.
Housekeeping.
That's nice.
Housekeeping.
Last week, we started the show by talking about an email that Morgan sent to us. Before I address that, I want to address my listening face, which I don't know if I've talked about before, but I noticed it last week, and it looks like I just don't give a fuck about what you're saying, you know, because I'm like looking over here, and I'm just like...
Because we're professionals, bro.
Yeah, and so I implore everybody to work with me while I figure out adjusting to the cameras, because I just got used to the one camera, and then we got another camera, and now I don't look at either of them. So I'm trying to be better about it. So forgive me. I am listening. I am a little bit stoned, but I am also listening to what he's saying. So that's it. So anyway, because I noticed it when we were talking about the letter.
Start to bother you a little bit?
Yeah, I'm like, he looks so fucking stupid. Excuse me. So...
Yeah, sometimes the audio doesn't translate perfectly well with the video.
It's bad, yeah. So I only have 3 small notes. Excuse me, god damn it. All right, I think I'm good. The 3 small notes about what I said last week about Morgan's letter, right? The first one is that in her letter, she said she doesn't feel like the president has deserved any respect, right? And I didn't address that, but I'd like to address this now, right? Because she said something to the fact that you could argue that he deserves a little bit of respect because of the office that he holds, but she doesn't believe that he's earned her respect, right? So, and this may be like a nitpicky differential, but I would maybe think of this as like an easier way to think about it, right? Okay. Is that the office does deserve respect, right? Because the office of the American president is possibly the most powerful position that exists on the planet, right? The president, however, that exists right now, Donald Trump, has done nothing to earn your respect. That I agree with, because I don't super respect Donald Trump as a person, and when he's not the president anymore, I'm not going to respect him. I respect the office, and I respect that he is handling the business for America, whether or not I like it. He is the one that is going and doing summits with North Korea. He is the one that is doing fucking national emergencies and doing these things, you know, he's working on tax cuts, he's doing all this stuff, whether or not we like it, whether or not we love it, whether or not we hate it, he's the person that's doing that. So I respect the office. I don't respect the man. You know, like I said, maybe that's like a nitpicky or like a splitting hairs type of thing. But for me, it's an easier way to think about it.
I think it's pretty fair.
So I think it might be an easier way for maybe Morgan or other people to think about it.
And I can understand the point of view from people who just can't see past that, see past the person that's sitting in the chair.
Yes,
I can totally see that, and I don't hold it against anybody necessarily. It's more of I don't know how you'd want to put that. You know, it's just when it comes to certain conversations, you have to be able to separate the two. You know, just like AOC as a person and AOC as a representative for her district. It can be very hard to separate the two because there is so much intertwined in the two of them.
Yes.
But especially with such a symbolic office like the presidency.
Yeah.
Personality really matters to a lot of people, you know, especially when he is taking the lead on North Korea, which we'll talk about later.
Yes.
And just going, it's seemingly like he's running. It's like the CEO of America Corp coming into North Korea Corp, sitting down after all their minions had done their stuff, and then, you know, if he gets up there and says some stupid shit, that makes the whole company look bad, right? It's the same. The same idea.
Which actually kind of not that part, but when you're talking about individuals and AOC, that kind of leads into my second point. So when we were talking about people's identities and women and stuff, my mom actually called me this week and told me that she was not happy about the way about some of the stuff that we said at the beginning of last week's show when we were addressing Morgan's letter. So I'm interested to talk to my mom about that, and I'll let you know what she says. But my note on this, right, is that when we're talking about those individual things like being a woman, being gay, all that shit, right? We're saying that it doesn't matter, you know? And so I wanted to just be
it doesn't matter it does not.
Yes,
as a matter of policy.
Right. So I'm just trying to wrap it up because if you listen to last week's episode, you know what's up. And we didn't say that it doesn't matter as a whole, but this is just a closing note on that, right? As an individual, at the individual level, all of the unique things about you, whether it's your sexual orientation, the color of your skin, your heritage, your ethnicity, your interests, your everything, all of those things matter on an individual level. Right. My point was that once you are a member of Congress and you are there in the House of Representatives, you are in the Senate, right? Those things no longer matter, right? Because at that point you are working as a politician to get things done. And it seems to me that at that point, to identify them past anything other than your caucus and your political beliefs feels to me like it becomes divisive. Mm-hmm. And that is what I was trying to get at last week. And so that's just maybe like a little bit of a simpler way for me to say it, you know?
Yeah. It's viewing government through the lenses of intersectional politics.
Yes.
You know, and intersectionality has no place in politics, no place in government.
And it's obviously fine that those things influence your opinion because that's what's going to happen. I mean, your opinion and your perspective is influenced by your experiences, you know? So everybody there, based on their different individual experiences, are going to see things differently. So I'm not saying that it doesn't matter, you know, like as a whole, but like I said, it doesn't to begin to identify people that way, and when they're in the body, it seems to me is just divisive, because at that point it doesn't pertain to the legislation that they're putting forth, because the argument has always been and is true that nothing is any different, you know, among the races. Like it doesn't affect your intelligence or anything like that just because you're a different race, or I mean it doesn't, you know. So at that point it doesn't matter. At that point it's only about your politics and the legislation that you're putting forth. Mm-hmm. And that's really my point. The third and last thing that I want to address is when I was talking about what Morgan said about AOC being the face of the bill, right, and having crafted it, right? So my point with that is I do understand that she is going to be the face of that bill because she is the one that co-sponsored it and represented it. But my point really was in the actual language of we don't have any way to attest that of how much of that she crafted. And we know that at least partially by the episode of Pod Save America that we listened to this week, because that woman crafted that legislation, at least in part, you know. That was really my only point, and I talked about later in that discussion about Morgan's letter that, like, I'm very particular with my language, you know, and like I say very much what I mean. And so that is what I was talking about, was the actual crafting of the legislation, not the face of it, you know, because I obviously understand if it goes down, they're going to blame it on her. That's how it's going to look, you know. But I was talking about the actual writing of the legislation, because there's a whole careers, you know, people whose job it is to actually write bills and then go and give it to somebody in Senate and be like, here, introduce this, you know, I wrote this.
And in this
like
particular case, it was one of the co-authors was a woman named Rihanna Gunright, who was on that episode of
Pod Save America.
Yeah. Oh, I listened to like 3 episodes of Pod Save America this week.
Yeah. And that's why I told you, like, just listen to the interview at the end, because that's all that I really listened to was the interview at the end. Because
hey, you know me, man. I need full context, start to finish. Self-abuse. But yeah, she works at a progressive think tank in Washington D.C.
Exactly.
And that's where those. That's how. I mean, you could think of these as lobbyist groups in a way.
Yeah.
These think tanks. Whenever you hear about think tanks, it's just it's a group of people that come together and make up legislation to bring to Congress. Be like, hey, you guys should all get on board this, and let's push that forward.
Exactly.
It's just a different route. And
so that's really what my point was not that she's not the face of it, and that if it goes down, she won't be blamed, because certainly she will be roasted, you know, if and when this comes to the Senate, and it probably is not passed, you know, she'll get roasted for it because she's the face of it. But like I said, I was talking truly about the actual crafting of the legislation, that I don't have any way to attest of how much of this that she wrote, other than I know that someone wrote it, right? As they do, you write a piece of legislation and you find somebody whose ideals line up with the legislation that you've just written, you know, and then you introduce it to that person. You're like, hey, here it is. Take this to the floor. Try and get this introduced. Try and get it voted on. And we'll both be looking good, because my name's down in the fine print at the bottom because I wrote it, but your face is on it, you know, and you're going to look good because you got this passed, and I'm going to get a shitload of money because I just got a bill passed in the Senate, you know?
You know, and there's no way either to find out how directly she may or may not have been working with them. Or you never know. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because they're two separate worlds, the private industry and the government.
Yes.
And once those two combine, it's essentially just officially it's a handoff. It's like, hey, you start introducing this to your people, see if you can get them on board.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And it's a finite difference. Like you said, it's negligible. It doesn't really matter, you know. At that point, it was just I don't know.
Because it is, even if, like, officially, it doesn't matter where it comes from, because at the end of the day, somebody in the government picks it up and sponsors it. But, you know, in all actuality, you want to know, you know, the motives, you know. And it would be nice in a perfect world, but, like, officially, that's not the way it doesn't matter.
Right.
Kind of like Rule 35. There's a Rule 35. Oh, I think I wrote it down.
Oh, in the Cohen
thing.
Oh, yeah.
Lowering your sentencing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a really bad segue. I tried. Were you finished though with that?
That's it. But we can hit the social medias real quick, and then we can move on.
Oh, word. Well, you're so good at that nowadays. You want to spit them out there?
Yeah. So obviously you're listening to this you might be listening as a podcast. You might be watching it on YouTube. You can find us on YouTube at Salt of the Streets. You can find our personal social medias. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Colin is at Big Bird Offie on both of those things. We have our Salt of the Streets Instagram, Salt of the Streets Facebook. You can find everything of ours at saltofthestreets.com. The podcasts come out on Monday. Videos come out on Tuesday, Wednesday. Blog post on Thursday, live stream on Saturday on our Facebook.
That's so many days. I can't even count them on
Absolutely.
2 hands.
Most days of the week, we are providing content. It is there. Consume it. Tell us what you love. That's it. Leave us a comment.
So you're just so much better at that than I am. I have to write it out in a script so I don't forget anything.
It took me a while to get it, but I got it now.
You're the master. So this week, what day was the Cohen hearing?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I've lost all track of time as far as this week's concerned.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday. It might have been Thursday. No, it was Wednesday.
And how much of that did you catch? Because it was live on C-SPAN. This was one of, I think, 3 hearings that he's had. This is the only public one.
Yes.
I think he had one before, and then he was going to do one after.
The first one was public. Because I listened to that one as well.
You're talking about the one where he lied?
Yes.
I'm talking about this week. He's had a couple... I think at least one. We'll say at least one closed door.
He had 2 that week. On Wednesday was the open door. Thursday was the closed door.
Okay.
And so I know for a fact he had 2 this week with that same joint committee.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was on Wednesday, and I listened to probably 4 or 5 hours of it. Not in its entirety, because when they went to lunch, they were gone for like an hour or something like that, and I forgot about it and started listening to other stuff. So I did not listen to it then, but I listened to the first like 5 hours of it, and then I watched most of the rest of it yesterday.
Yeah.
When I was at home. So
it's tough to do, man.
I've probably watched or listened to 85% of it.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I'm probably up to about 50, and I'm still going through it.
Yeah, so I do have some notes here from it, obviously, because that's what I do. So as soon as it started, the Republicans said that they had only received Cohen's testimony a few hours before the hearing, right? And also the evidence was submitted just that morning. They got the testimony the night before, and the evidence was there that morning. And so Mark Meadows, Republican from North Carolina, he cited a rule that testimony and evidence must be presented 24 hours in advance before a hearing. So he tried to move for the hearing to be postponed. And the majority leader, not the majority leader, the chairman. Yes, the chairman Cunningham. Yeah. Sorry, I got this.
I'm a fan of his chairmanship.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of how he runs the bench.
So Chairman Cunningham took a vote, an oral vote of just to try and get this over and done with, and then Mark Meadows asked for a recorded vote, and so they took another 5-10 minutes to do a recorded vote, and both movements ended up turning over anyway, moving to, first of all, ignore the rule, and second of all, ignore the movement to postpone. So they voted on both of those things, and it was really just a waste of like 20-30 minutes.
There's always so much of that in every one of these hearings now.
Yes. Mark Meadows claimed that it was part of a political strategy and personal slight from Michael Cohen towards the House, and moved to delay the hearing. And so he claimed that it was, like I said, part of a political strategy because one of his lawyers, he said, went on CNN. I forgot to look up the video, but he said went on CNN and was saying, talking about the strategy of what they were going to do the next day. So it's really important to be sitting at the table by yourself, and it's really important to hold on to your testimony for as long as you can. And so Mark Meadows claims that it was part of a strategy, and that, like I said, and a personal slight, because apparently Michael Cohen just fucking hates everybody who's a representative.
Yeah.
It didn't seem that way.
Who I will say, it is completely and utterly ridiculous to hear that coming from Meadows.
Yes.
Because did we not just go through a very similar thing very recently?
Right.
With, was it the Kavanaugh hearings? I mean, there was multiple hearings that, they were always pointing their fingers at the Democrats for citing the same rules when it's totally contradictory.
Yeah.
Makes you a hypocrite.
And then at the end, there was and so what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the notes that I have from the actual hearing itself. We're going to go through like really the allegations that came out from Michael Cohen. And then some...
Oh, because there was a few.
Right. And just because he spent 30 minutes on his opening statement. And so I have, most of the new things that he said in here as well as the old ones. And I have some notes from the original thing. And I've got all kinds of shit here. I'm prepared as fuck.
I love it.
And then I have some big picture notes about what the Republicans did, how the Democrats handled it. Got a couple of questions for you.
Me too.
I did so good last night.
I'm so proud of you, Don.
Thank you. So what the fuck was I talking? Oh, at the end, there was a problem between Rashida Tlaib and Mark Meadows because Mark Meadows said that Rashida Tlaib called him a racist, and then Mark Meadows was mad that he felt like she called him a racist, and then was upset that Cunningham was allowing him to be called a racist because they're friends, and he has like nieces and nephews that are mixed, and it was something else, right? And I thought it was strange because when I heard her say that, I thought that she was talking about the president, right? I thought she was talking about the president being like, oh, well, I'm not a racist because Omarosa's in the White House. You know, I brought Omarosa with me and I got Ben Carson with me. Like, because that was a point of contention, you know.
It was very ambiguous.
Right. And so that's what I thought she was talking about. I did not by any means think she was talking about Mark Meadows. So I thought that was really interesting that he took it so personally.
I don't. I think it was, he saw it and it was like, oh, because he's so involved in following and attacking her and, you know, AOC and Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm not going to say unrightfully either. I mean,
right.
he has cause to do that, but he saw his shot in my mind and took it.
That's what you think?
That's what I think.
It
doesn't really matter at the end, but it seems pretty.
He seemed legitimately
ridiculous.
upset for a minute. But it did seem like a strange thing to happen. Like while still in the hearing, you know, like would you not?
It's like, really?
It seems like the more professional thing, and that may be, you know, a paradox when you're talking about like Congress, but it seems like the more professional thing to do would be to approach Chairman Cunningham afterwards and say, hey, I would really like if you would ask Representative Tlaib, you know, to speak with you and I in your chambers, and then hash that out there where you're like, bitch, you called me a racist. Like,
yeah.
But I think that probably speaks to your point that it wasn't a personal deal, you know, that I don't, just from my perception, you know, it seems like if it was that big of a deal, he'd be like, hey, listen, I'm trying to get this handled because if she's going to be calling people racist, she needs to get the fuck out of here, you know? But he wanted people to see that discussion, and that's why he had it there.
The problem was he was already in that play the role mindset.
Yeah.
He was playing his character for that night, and that was something that his character would have done that day.
Yes. Yeah.
In my mind.
So it was interesting because that was after the questioning, but then before the closing statements.
Yeah.
So it was very strange. Because I was trying to see the closing statements because I heard that Michael Cohen cried. So I was trying to see Michael Cohen cry. And while I was waiting for that happened. And I also thought it was interesting that I didn't hear anybody report on that. You know, that I had not heard about that.
But I saw it. You?
I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird that interaction happened and not even on... But I guess I didn't watch Fox News that day, but like I didn't even hear about it on Ben Shapiro or anything, you know? Like that seems strange that I wouldn't hear at least one.
No, I heard about it on Ben Shapiro.
You did?
For sure.
Oh, maybe I just didn't listen to that episode.
Yeah, because he's all about finding those stories that the mainstream, if you will, isn't reporting on, especially when it comes to somebody like Rashida Tlaib.
I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, yeah. But he's marked... he has marked them for his character assassination, and not even that, just anything that could possibly conceived as bad, he is right there on it.
Well, and it certainly speaks to an obvious political tilt in the media. Not that we didn't know that existed already, you know, but it's just kind of another paper on the pile of like, well, here's a little bit more evidence, you know, that like something like that happened where Rashida Tlaib ambiguously insinuated that Mark Meadows or the president might be a racist because they said they have a black friend, right? You know, and that it's racist to even use someone as an example for why you're not a racist, you know, like the fact that that's not covered as racist for her to even possibly insinuate that, you know, that he would be using someone as a puppet. It was a strange discussion because that's what he was upset about in the end, is that Mark Meadows felt like Rashida Tlaib called him a racist for saying, oh, well, I have a black friend, so I'm not a racist. And Mark Meadows said, it's racist for you to even say that I would do that. You know, that it wouldn't just be natural for me to have a black friend, you know, and for me to say that naturally when you're calling me a racist. You know, it's a strange deal, but that's why you can never win when you're like, well, I got black friends. You know, well, I know black people. Hang out with black people all the time. Like, it was really weird. It was really weird, and it was to see happen in the middle of a hearing. I just thought it was very fucking strange. But
I was loving it.
It was entertaining for sure. So during Cohen's opening statement, he had a lot of different allegations that came out. Man. So first of all, right, he said, this is a quote, he said, he is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat, right? And so he shared a couple of personal stories, all anecdotal, because that's what this is, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end of what he said, we'll talk about Michael Cohen as a person and whether or not we can believe this, right? Because there's some serious maybe we should talk about that first, right?
Yeah, right.
So this is
how much salt do you really give these guys? You know, how much he has showed up to Congress before and blatantly lied, and now is officially convicted and is going to jail for such lies. And
correct.
So now
this is the first time, it should be said, this is the first time that somebody who is convicted of perjury is testifying in front of Congress after having been found guilty of lying to Congress, right? Because he's just a few weeks away from going to prison for several years for lying to Congress, for bank fraud.
3 years at this point.
Yes, that's what he's looking at, right? Yeah. And so there was a huge amount of question of whether or not Michael Cohen can even be believed, right? Because he's already lied to Congress. So what's to say that this oath means anything to him now if it didn't beforehand, right? There's also, because I'm really torn about it. I don't know personally if I believe Michael Cohen or not, the things that he's saying, because
on the other side of the argument is, what does he have left to lose?
At this point, he's already facing jail time, you know, and he's already going to be away from his family. He's already lied. He's already he's already a felon, you know, like it. So at this point, what does he have to lose?
Yeah, he's been labeled a narc by his former bosses, cronies. He's been called a rat, old school mobster style. They're attacking his father-in-law on social media. They're calling him out.
The Republicans also use that in their argument that, well, he's going to go to prison, so he's going to say anything he can while he's here to try and get as much time off as he can, right?
The Rule 35 motion.
Yes, which I will provide an example of later when we're talking about big picture Republican stuff, because something like that did happen during this hearing, and I think it's really important to note, right? But I also think it's important, like I said, that we preface with that whether or not you believe Michael Cohen is really up to personal belief for you right now, because I can see it just as much either way, that he's telling the truth and then he's lying. I truly don't know whether or not he's telling the truth right now, but
I would say there were things that he did bring as evidence to support some of the claims he made, and those, I think, really only everything else that he said or did during the hearing more or less cannot be taken seriously just due to the nature of a perjure. But the stuff that coincides with the evidence that he brought seems to be, why would you be allowed to overlook that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Excuse me.
So like I said, his opening statement was about 30 minutes long. And one of the first things that he claimed was that President Trump was told by Roger Stone, who was just charged like a couple weeks ago, last week, like I think we talked about that, maybe the week before, that President Trump was told by Roger Stone that there was going to be an email drop by WikiLeaks before the Democratic National Convention. And so Michael Cohen says that he was in President Trump's office. He wasn't president at the time. He was just president, or he wasn't even President-elect Trump. He was just the candidate Trump at that point. So he said that he was in his office when he got the phone call from Roger Stone, where Roger Stone was on speakerphone and told President Trump that he just got off the phone with WikiLeaks, there was going to be an email drop.
Yep.
So
that's what he heard.
That's what he heard. That's what he said, right? And so again, whether or not that's the truth, I'm just reading these things off just so that you guys know what happened, because that's a lot of stuff that was a long hearing. There's a lot of stuff that was covered, and it's really hard to, if we don't have time to watch 7 hours, you guys definitely don't have time to watch 7 hours, and that's what we're here for. So I just want to run down this stuff for you just so you guys know everything that he tried to air out, right? He said that President Trump indirectly used charity funds for personal use. And the example that he gave was a painting of President Trump that went to auction, right? And he had Michael Cohen inflate the price of raise the bidding price at the auction for the painting. I think he said up to $60,000, right? And then pay for it. And then President Trump used funds from the Donald Trump Foundation to reimburse himself for the money that he used on the painting.
Yes.
Right? And so...
Which was an actual news story when it happened
yes.
a long time ago.
And so there is some evidence of that, right? And that is something that Michael Cohen alleged happened multiple times, numerous times. He used to do it all the time, right? He also said that President Trump led the Moscow Tower negotiations through the campaign, right? Previously, it's been testified that he stepped back from all business, that he wasn't handling anything. It was testified by Michael Cohen this day. Nothing happened without President Trump knowing about it, whether it happened in the campaign or the business. President Trump knew about everything when it happened.
Which was him directly contradicting his original testimony.
Yes.
That was one of the key things that he lied about during the first one.
In the Moscow Tower meeting, if you guys don't remember, I will link to that. Let me underline that so that I can link to that episode when I do the notes. Because we did talk about that. The Moscow Tower meeting was when Donald Trump Jr. was a Paul Manafort or Rick Gates?
I think
Paul Manafort met with a Russian lawyer, Natalie Veselnitskaya, where they testified, or at least wrote, because I don't think Donald Trump Jr. came in, but they wrote like out a statement and said that, it was on fucking Sean Hannity. That's where Donald Trump Jr. was on. I watched that shit live. So Donald Trump Jr. said that, I remember now, Donald Trump Jr. said that all they talked about was the Magnitsky Act, which has to do with adopting Russian babies, and along with other things, this lawyer and other people say that they talked about, what was it, sanctions, right? That's what they talked. Oh, it was information about Hillary Clinton. That this
dirt
woman
on
said,
Hillary Clinton.
Yes, the Russian lawyer Natalie Veselnitskaya said that she had dirt on Hillary Clinton, so she was trying to offer that information to Donald Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort. And the meeting never went anywhere, but like I said, afterwards, they said that they were just talking about adoption of Russian babies through the Magnitsky Act. God, we are getting good.
Which is so weird because the Magnitsky Act
has really not any much to do with that at all, right?
Yeah, like barely.
Yeah. And then, let's see, he called Donald Trump fundamentally disloyal. Point to speak to when he claimed that Donald Trump was told by Roger Stone about the WikiLeaks emails. Julian Assange and Roger Stone have both denied that conversation ever happened, that Roger Stone ever talked to Julian Assange and that Roger Stone ever talked to Donald Trump. Whether or not you believe them, again, that's up to you. That's like the same thing as believing Michael Cohen. I don't know. Yeah. Julian Assange lies all the fucking time. So does Roger Stone. So
yeah.
Whether or not you believe those guys, that's up to you, right?
Roger Stone's been lying since Reagan.
Yes. Michael Cohen also claimed that President Trump inflated assets to get on the Forbes list and get lines of credit and then deflated their value for taxes, which means that he would have someone come in, or really would pay someone to audit the value of properties or assets at a lower cost when he's filing his taxes, so he pays less and actually gets returns of, I think he said $130 million, $100 million, something like that.
Yeah.
But then when he's applying to be on the Forbes list and applying for lines of credit and things like that, then he would have someone value them at the highest they could possibly be to get a bigger line of credit. And Michael Cohen said that he always wanted to be at a higher spot on the Forbes list every year, and so he would always find just the most expensive thing that he had and have someone value that at the highest it could possibly go,
With what we know about what they did with his father's assets,
that would make very much sense.
Yeah.
It would
something
fall
they've
right
done
in line.
before.
Yes, with what he learned from his father, right? Which would also, and again, whether or not you believe Michael Cohen, that's up to you. I'm not saying that he's telling the truth. I just want to explain these allegations so people know what he said. But that activity, if it did happen, right, with his fucking with insurance, fucking with taxes, that would explain the hesitancy to turn over his tax returns, because with that and the financial statements that he turned in, because President Trump did turn over financial statements when he got in the office, those two things would be very different.
Yeah.
If this is correct.
There's a word for that, Don. It's called fraud. It's called tax fraud.
So, right, and
when you say Donald Trump, does anybody associate that with tax fraud? I don't think so, right?
So again, I'm not saying that that's the case, but it is a line of logic that I can follow. That when I heard that, I'm like, well,
it's a logical line of thinking.
That would make sense as to why he is so hesitant to turn over his taxes, right?
Yep.
Because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez actually asked at the end of the hearing, she was like the second to last person because she's so new. She said she asked Michael Cohen if he thought that they would see inconsistencies if they compared his tax returns and his financial statements, and he said yes. So I think that's really interesting.
Yep.
And I believe there are still people who are suing to try and get Donald Trump to turn over his taxes, President Trump to turn over his taxes. I'll try and look that up. Maybe we can talk about that next time.
Be curious what the difference between like a legal civil suit and a congressional subpoena would be, as far as how much weight that carries.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Because I know that President Trump has claimed before that he can decline a subpoena. He doesn't have to respond to a subpoena because he's the president,
That doesn't make sense to me, though.
No, and it's only because he's had people like Rudy Giuliani sitting there that are telling him that he can argue that way,
Yeah.
So certainly that they can argue that way in court. Whether or not they would win, that's something else.
Yeah.
But it's an argument that could feasibly be made for 4 to 5 years until he's out of office, and it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, because Congress has the power of oversight.
Right.
So how far does that extend? And that would probably be a Supreme Court case.
Which, as we heard in President Trump's State of the Union address, he's not a huge fan of the oversight powers of Congress, of the House of Representatives.
No,
right? He said that's just going to divide the government. That's going to divide the country to have oversight like that. So
don't look. You might not like what you see.
Michael Cohen also said that there was repeated claims of Donald Trump, the Trump Corporation, shorting or stiffing contractors, which there have been numerous reports on that, either when he first got into office or when he was running. I remember hearing about that, of numerous claims and lawsuits of him hiring people contractors to do work in his hotels and his buildings, and then either not paying them or paying them halfway for the job and saying, we're not going to do that anymore. Michael Cohen says that he was the person that did that on most of those occasions, if not all of them, that he was the one that would call people and tell them, or go to job sites and tell them, we're not paying you, but thank you for the work. You can leave now.
Yeah.
Which, again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just want to keep repeating, whether or not you believe him is up to you. But the reputation that Michael Cohen has and has had when he got brought into the White House, not as a job, but as the president's personal attorney, as a thug, as a mob-style lawyer, that he's a fixer. Like, he has that reputation. So you can argue that he's using that reputation he has in the public to make these false claims seem more legitimate, or you can argue that this is just more evidence that feeds into that persona that he has, right?
And I will tell you from personal experience that that idea of a person or a company, essentially in this case, like the Trump organization, hiring a contractor to do work, and then just deciding at the end of it that they don't want to pay anymore.
Yeah,
that is not an uncommon practice. I personally have experienced this a lot. And so, like, to have somebody of that level, of that egotistical level as well, it would not surprise me in the very, very least that Michael Cohen would be his go-to guy to do that.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea until I got into it, and I was like, oh, how is this even a thing?
Yeah. Another thing is Michael Cohen maintains that Stormy Daniels was paid for silence knowingly by President Trump, and that the money came from Michael Cohen, but Michael Cohen was reimbursed by President Trump. And when he was here in Congress this time, he claimed that President Trump reimbursed him while he was in the White House.
Yeah.
Right? He brought checks that are signed by Donald Trump from his personal account to Michael Cohen from August of 2017, when President Trump was already in office, that Michael Cohen claims as part of a payment system set up by Donald Trump Jr., the Trump Foundation.
Alan Weisselman was a major
Alan
player.
Weisselman. So not Trump, the Trump Corporation, not the Trump Foundation, because those are, the Trump Foundation is the charity, the Trump Corporation is his company, right? Those are two very different things. So Michael Cohen claims that this check is part of a reimbursement for the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, right? The personal thing doesn't matter. We've talked about that before. But the reason that's a problem is because it would be considered an in-kind donation to Stormy Daniels, which is part of, what the hell am I trying to say? Election finance violation?
Almost campaign finance violation.
Damn it. Campaign finance violation for the purpose of influencing an election. You can't use anything over $2,700. And obviously $130,000 is way over that. So There's that which he brought the check there, the actual physical check. He brought it, and they had it there. He was paid $35,000 by President Trump while he was president from his personal account. What that money is for is going to be argued to the end of time, right? Because I'm sure that will be argued in some type of court while Michael Cohen is in prison, right?
Yeah.
Or at least
because I think it's involved in the Southern District of New York court.
Yes.
Hearing, or not hearing, but the case that's still going on. That's the real dangerous one.
Yes.
I don't think, as far as the two major investigations, the Mueller probe and then the Southern District of New York, there's only one the president is actually needing to be worried about, unless, of course, he's guilty as fuck. But I think it's that SDNY, because it's going after a campaign finance violation, which, when you say it like that, doesn't mean a whole lot. But what it essentially is defrauding the American taxpayer.
Right. And
because that's our money that they're playing with. These are donations from the people, and
right.
That's fraudulent.
And
that's a personal use of from a different coffer. You know what I mean?
And people will try and belittle that argument by quoting Barack Obama's campaign finance violations, right? But they're different because, and I'm not defending Barack Obama, I'm just highlighting the difference between the two, right? That Barack Obama took more money than he claimed that he took, right? He did not pay somebody for silence so that their story didn't come out to influence people's opinions of that candidate.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and say that Barack Obama didn't do that, because he got taken to court for it. He paid the fine. Everything was fine.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it wasn't trying to influence people's opinions. It was taking a little bit more money than he should have taken from certain people.
Yeah, you got to remember, campaign finance is it's not like a very specific crime. It encompasses a lot of different, separate crimes, you know. And in Barack Obama's case, it was the sheer the volume of contributions at the time, and we've talked about this before.
Right.
They were literally unable to meet the deadline and underreported because they just didn't have the time.
Right.
And so this is a completely different one.
Very, very different.
Yeah. This is more along the lines of that. Was John Edwards? Was it John Edwards? I can't remember. The presidential candidate that had a love child with another lady.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's been a lot of talk about that as something to actually compare it to.
The next thing is that Michael Cohen claims that President Trump had Michael Cohen threaten his high schools and colleges to not release his grades and not release his test scores.
That's my favorite one.
Which was really interesting. Super interesting.
Just speaks to the man.
Yep. Michael Cohen claims that Donald Trump lied about the bone spurts that he had so that he could avoid the draft into Vietnam, and said, President Trump said, "What, you think I'm fucking stupid? I'm not going to Vietnam," or some shit like that. And the last thing I wrote down here as far as claims is that Michael Cohen claims that Donald Trump knew about the Trump Tower meeting and the content of the meeting when it happened. He claims that he was in the office with Donald Trump when Donald Trump Jr. came in, said something to the effect of, the meeting is set up and blah, blah, blah.
Walked behind his chair, which is something nobody does.
He said it was also weird because at one point Donald Trump had told him that Donald Trump Jr. was like the most irresponsible person he'd ever met, or had the worst business sense he'd ever met, or and I'm not trying to.
I feel like a lot of people would second that opinion, though.
Right, I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm trying to remember what he said. Like, the worst instincts. That's what he said.
Yes,
Donald Trump Jr. has the worst instincts I've ever said. Michael Cohen claimed that Donald Trump said that. So, in the opening statement, 30 minutes, he used that time to claim all of those things. And that is what he was there for today. The purpose of this hearing was for Michael Cohen to testify on President Trump and the knowledge that he has on him. That is the whole purpose he was being there, right? So it's important to know that before we talk about how the Republicans used their time and how the Democrats used their time, because they were very different, right?
Very.
So the Republicans, to a T, spent their time highlighting all the reasons that Michael Cohen could not be trusted and could not be believed. And they also spent their time building a narrative of personal slight from Michael Cohen towards President Trump because Michael Cohen was not given a job in the White House. Right?
Yeah.
That was a huge narrative being pushed. And Michael Cohen is like, I didn't want a job in the White House. I was the personal lawyer to the President of the United States.
It's like, here, man, here's a gun. Grab it. grab it.
Right. And
take it.
Like,
shoot him.
It's like, I didn't want that. Like, I don't, that's not true, you know? And that was something that was stated in part of the case against him in the Southern District of New York. And he said, that's not the case. You know, I never said that. And I know. So, and they kept, so you're saying that they're lying. It's like, well, no, I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying that I never said that. And so you're saying that they're lying. And he's like, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're lying because they're also lawyers. Like, and so the reasons that they claim Michael Cohen can't be trusted is, like we talked about earlier, bank fraud. He's lied to banks to get lines of credit. Perjury. He's already come into the House of Representatives and lied to them under oath. And the one thing that I was talking about earlier, where the example of how he's a shitty lawyer, and also how he can't be trusted, right? That he can't be trusted at all, is months ago there was stories and actual audio that came out of audio recordings that Michael Cohen made of President Trump. And I don't remember how they got out. I think that they were subpoenaed and then were leaked through the Justice Department somehow, and that's probably how they got out. And so I don't remember anything big coming out of them. But there was tapes, and so when Michael Cohen is here testifying, he says that he has over 100 tapes of not just President Trump, but of multiple clients, of numerous clients. And so I wish I wrote down the guy's name, but it was one of the Republican representatives. He said, is that legal? You know, does that is there any rule against that? And Michael Cohen said, well, it's not illegal. You know, there's no rule against it. And he said, so that's just like an ethical question then. And Michael
he would be disbarred for doing that, but he's already been disbarred.
Yeah, like last week.
Because you violate attorney-client privilege at a point.
Well,
right?
So hold on, right? Because that's what Michael Cohen was saying, was that him actually doing the recordings is not violating attorney-client privilege per se. Yeah. Right? At that point, it's just an ethical question, because whether or not he does something with the tapes, that would violate it, right?
Yeah, the act of doing it isn't necessarily
And that's what Michael Cohen was saying, right? But then, after he says he has them, the Democrat that's questioning him at the time when he admits he has the tapes says, would you be willing to turn those tapes over? And he said, absolutely. Yeah. So then when he's being questioned by the Republican who's asking him whether or not this is illegal or if it's just a moral question, he says, well, I'm concerned because you are obviously willing to violate attorney-client privilege because you offered to turn in these tapes without even getting the consent of any of your clients that these people were recorded. Yeah. And Michael Cohen's like, oh, well, I'm just trying to be cooperative. You know, it's like, well, that's all well and good, but you're willing to break the law, you know. So why should we believe that you're not willing to do that now? You know,
you might want to it would be a different story if you were like, well, yeah, if you asked for them and requested them, aka through a subpoena, he would hand them over. Yeah, that probably would have been a better answer than, well, yeah, no, you can have them, but he doesn't care.
Well, and eventually he had to amend what he said and said, pending, authorization from my previous clients. After he got called out for it, the next time he got asked about the tapes, because I believe the next Republican...
there's 99 people watching that going, shit!
I believe the next Democrat asked him again if he would turn over the tapes, and he said, pending, something along the lines of pending authorization from my previous clients, I would turn over the tapes to you guys. But he also argued when he's being questioned by the original Republican, he's like, well... people in the Justice Department already have the tapes. And the representative's like, that doesn't matter. It's like, I'm not asking you who has them because that doesn't matter. If they were subpoenaed and you had to give them over, that doesn't matter. Yeah. What they do with them doesn't matter. They're not the attorney here. You're the attorney. If you give them over, that's violating attorney-client privilege, and that's when we have a problem. Yeah. It was really interesting. I thought it was very interesting that he's just obviously not the brightest guy.
No, he's not, man.
So that's pretty much how every Republican to a T handled their time there. Everyone got 5 minutes, and it was all in an attempt to discredit any and all information provided by Cohen today. Yeah. And before, because again, that's whether or not you can believe it is still up in the air. I'm not sure. Yeah. The Democrats, on the other hand, used their time. I'm not going to say appropriately because that's again up for debate whether or not he even should be there. But yeah. In terms of the purposes for why Cohen was there, right? They used their time more appropriately by using his opening statement and his testimony and asking questions about that to try and get more information, right?
It was no different than any other hearing we've heard, all the way going back through Kavanaugh and everything.
Incredibly partisan because they also used...
The roles were switched
because
the Democrats have the power in this one.
The Democrats also used their time to try and delegitimize the president and try and make the Republicans look like they're just blind to the truth. You know, they're not for the people. They don't care. They just don't. So it's not, I'm not by any means saying the Democrats looked great because they were just as partisan as the Republicans were, but they didn't use as much of their time to slander the Republicans as the Republicans did to slander the Democrats.
Yeah, which is pretty typical.
The Democrats and Cohen.
Yeah, essentially, like I said, it was just like a role reversal. You know, it was the same because you remember during like the Kavanaugh hearings and the Gorsuch hearings, some of the Republicans were good and asked good questions, but some of them just used it to sit there for 5 minutes and puff them up, just put a line of bullshit up in the air.
And Democrats did that too. Rashida Tlaib, I don't think she hardly asked any questions. All she did was just talk the whole time about how shitty they all were. And, Republican Donald Trump is a racist, but I'm not going to say he's a racist and, racist and this is racist and that's racist.
But nothing's racist because Mark Meadows isn't racist. And
so like I said, I'm not by any means saying the Democrats were great because they came out looking just as stupid, almost as stupid as the Republicans.
It's a 60-40 split.
Yeah. So talked about the Republicans, Cohen testifying at all. Do you think personally that Michael Cohen should be believed? Do you believe him? Where do you sit on it?
I sit, again, like I spoke before about the checks.
Yeah.
Or as what's the chairman's name again?
Cunningham.
Yeah, when he asked him about the checks, the checks.
Yeah.
It's like he's like, wait, did I bring some sex? Not a lot, but no, the things that he had evidence for, like the checks signed by Donald Trump Jr. and Alan Weissman and
President Trump.
Yeah, like that's the kind of stuff where like, okay, yeah, then that's good because that is under investigation, so I'm not worried about it. I'm sure they already know what's going on. It's part of it. We'll find out. But that's really, everything else is just kind of, I don't know. You just take it with a grain of salt.
And like I said, it's anecdotal. All that stuff is stories of things that Michael Cohen said that he experienced, and so they're not admissible in court because it's just shit that he's saying, it's just hearsay. But
it's interesting for one. I was glad that he did teach some congressmen about the Rule 35 motion because there was a lot of, how much of your testimony here today is going to go to a reduced sentence in your other case?
Yeah.
And he had to, because it came up so much, and especially from Meadows, that essentially, like, the Rule 35 case, which is talking about the reduction of your sentence, how much time you're served. That only applies like if you start to cooperate with authorities, right?
Right.
And then if the information you provide to those cases and investigations leads to a fruitful investigation,
if it's beneficial.
If it's beneficial, then there's the possibility of a Rule 35 motion,
right?
Which is it's like a separate trial, again, all in and of itself. This isn't just his testimony there today literally has nothing to do legally with his reduced sentence, if that was even a thing that he can get.
And his point, I think part of his point was that if that is the case, I don't have any way to decide that. That is totally based upon
he has nothing to do with it.
It's based on the investigators and whether or not they feel like the information I gave is beneficial. Because I'm just saying this stuff, if it doesn't end up helping, then that's up to them. So I thought that was really interesting.
It is. And which was nice because much like the tech hearings, a lot of these people just don't know how certain things work because they're only people, man. You know how it is. Who knows how everything works?
And that's something that everyone can take into consideration. That he is most certainly, and he said that he would love to get time off of his sentence if any of this is helpful. Yeah. But it is legally, he has no way to decide whether or not he gets time off of his sentence because of this. Yeah. So him saying it can't be based on that, because he has no way to know whether or not it will even help. Yeah. Right. So he can't be tailoring his he knows what he got asked, so he could maybe be tailoring it to that, but that doesn't mean that because he was asked that's really big picture what the investigation is about. He could be just one small element of this entirety. So,
which I think he is.
Exactly. So there's no way to say that. So I don't think personally that it's a legitimate argument to say that he's there lying to try and get a reduced sentence, because if he is lying, then he's definitely not going to get a reduced sentence for it. So,
yeah, it was just kind of a, discredit, rinse, repeat. That's coming from the Republican side, at least. I don't think I heard a single one ask a halfway decent question.
At a certain point, like maybe a third or 2/3 of the way through, Michael Cohen he said, I think it's interesting that not one Republican member here has asked me a single question about President Trump.
Yeah.
It's only been about me, my taxes, my history, my crimes, what I've done. I'm here to talk about President Trump. Not one Republican representative here has asked me a question about President Trump.
Nope.
That's fucking weird, But you're sitting here bitching about partisan politics. Not one person has asked about President Trump.
Just makes me sick to think about, man, because it's just... Mind you, a lot of those people that were really hardcore over there, they're on like the Freedom Caucus and stuff like that. I mean, you expect that from them because they're almost Trump loyalists, if you wanted to.
Jim Jordan?
Yeah. But
that's his name, right?
Jim Jordan? Yeah. But I do love, I'm good. I do love the little, and I don't know her name, but the little old lady from, I don't remember where she was.
Yeah.
Asked him about the books. It's like, she gave him a whole list of like book, movie deal, all these different things, commentary spot on a particular right-wing conservative news, channel, aka Fox News. Would you, commit to not signing up for those or signing into those? And he's just like, no, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that.
Hand me another beer, please, while you're in there.
Ooh. The wifey must be getting ready to Twitch stream because she's coming out with her headphones on, grabbing beers. Oh, thank you, love. Oh, man, more fresh squeezed. But, yeah, overall, I don't know. The only thing that the only thing I really like, I feel like I can take out of it is most of the stuff to do with the checks that they showed and some of the documents signed. But
he brought.
Yeah, because other than that, I'm just not worried about it. It's kind of I like it because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And who knows how much of it you can actually use, but I mean, it's good to know what's going on.
Right.
And that's kind of what this is.
And I don't know that we'll know exactly how much of this really is the truth until all these investigations are done. Until the Mueller report comes out, until the SDNY report comes out, until all these things are done, the cases are closed. I don't know that we'll know exactly how much of this is the truth. And even then, a lot of it's going to be classified. So it'll be a while, 25 years until all of it's opened up and we can see
Gulf
everything.
Of Tonkin.
Exactly. Northwoods.
Oh.
So
speaking of,
I think that's pretty much all that we have on Michael Cohen.
Definitely.
As far as that, so we can move on to North Korea if you'd like.
Yeah, pause button before we do North Korea. Have you gotten to that new Alex Jones episode on Joe Rogan?
Like halfway through it. I'm going to listen to more of it on my way home.
Isn't it so amazing?
I'm to the point where Eddie Bravo is there, and he's like screaming before he went to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that was Alex Jones is officially a nut job.
Second time he's on Joe Rogan.
Absolutely like insane.
Yeah,
it was so crazy. But I'm going to go back and listen to it again because it is just endless, nonsensical entertainment.
Alex Jones is too much.
Interdimensional aliens, and I love every second of it. So speaking of interdimensional aliens.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-un.
So on Monday, the president was headed to Hanoi, Vietnam, to have a summit with the supreme leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. Mm-hmm. And so they did have their meeting and everything, and there was a signing ceremony scheduled that did not happen because the president left the meeting early and left the summit early with
out.
Yes, with no deal signed. And then in the press conference immediately afterwards, President Trump said North Korea wanted all of the sanctions gone, but they wouldn't denuclearize in the areas that they wanted. And so they weren't willing. He wasn't willing to make that deal and had to just walk away. He also claimed that this is a side note, but he also claimed that the Cohen hearing happened when it did to take away from the Hanoi summit.
Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting because nothing happened anyway. So
got to tie it to him somehow, man.
Yeah. And so President Trump then, he answered some questions. While he was there, he got asked if the Department of Defense would restart the war games they do in South Korea. The practices they do there. What the fuck am I trying to say? Not practices.
The drills.
Yes, thank you. Jesus Christ. And President Trump said that he stopped it because it cost too much money. It cost $100 million every time, and he didn't think that it was fair.
It's not fair.
Which I just... To a man who's adding another $16 billion to the defense budget this year, what the fuck are you talking about? You did it to save money? To say, we do it twice a year, or every couple of years? How often do we do the fucking war games? Not very often. You're saying that it costs too much money when we do it?
It's too much money, man.
Come on, dog. But here's
an extra $16 billion.
And you're also talking about how we need to have a strong military and show it to people. We need to have technology. And why wouldn't have a parade so people can see how strong our military is? But the war games the drills are too much. Those are too much.
Those are too much.
They're too showy. They cost too much money. I don't want people seeing. You're joking, right?
I want my parade.
You're joking. You're doing it because you're trying to bend to the will of Kim Jong-un. That's exactly what it is, and you can't argue it any other way. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah, he's trying to do what he does with his business dealings. He likes to pretend like they're all buddy-buddy and get them on, lower their defenses. And
yeah.
It's kind of a shitty tactic.
He also said that Kim Jong-un told him he had no knowledge of Otto Warmbier while he was there and anything that happened, right? And if you guys remember, which I'm sure you do because it got fucking all kinds of attention right afterwards, Otto Warmbier was a college student who went to North Korea. He grabbed a poster down off of a wall and I think one other thing, and they found it in his bag when he was trying to leave. And he got taken into custody and he got beaten and all kinds of bad shit happened to him. And then when he was in a coma, they finally gave him back and he died 3 days later.
Yep.
And
they tortured and killed him because he stole a poster.
And then right after the president says this, Otto Warmbier's family comes out and they're, in not so many words, fuck the president because he absolutely knew that this happened and the president needs to be supporting us and not Kim Jong-un. And this guy's a dictator and he is killing people. He's murdering people. And yeah, so the family is pissed. There's lots of people who are pissed.
The family was at his State of the Union 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yes, they were because that was right after Warmbier had died.
Yep. And now he's turning around and spitting in their face.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Do you have any other notes from the questions that he took that you want to hit?
No. The only real thing because like you said, this is kind of a lot of not going anywhere.
Right.
And so my big talking point on this one was I don't know how much we've really talked about North Korea. Just, where you think maybe we should go, the stances that we're taking. There's a lot of talk these days about how the United States even having a relationship like we do with Kim Jong-un is a complete another moral travesty. So I figure just based off of this, really all we can do is some people are pointing fingers saying that, they just should have been more prepared for this before they got the leaders involved and made this all showy. And because all the real negotiations generally happen at the State Department level.
Right. And then when the leaders show up, they really just kind of sign the agreement that's already been handed.
At that point, they're figureheads. They just show up, shake hands, sign a paper.
And I think the thing that concerns me, right, is that because I don't know exactly what I think the plan should be for North Korea. I don't know, and I haven't. Not that I could solve it myself, but I've not thought critically enough about it to try and think of a strategy.
where you stand.
Right.
How much time have you spent?
I don't think, especially because we don't have a full comprehension of North Korea's nuclear capability. You know, all we know is what they've done publicly, because we also know that they've dug into mountains and done things inside of mountains. You know, what they've done in there, we don't know. You know, they've taken down some facilities and left others up. They've continued to do some testing. They have continued to build new rockets and better rockets in the time that we've had these discussions since President Trump has claimed that they're no longer a threat.
Yeah.
You know, they've continued to do those things. There's reportings from America, from Europe. We talked about that last week or the week before. I have notes in here for it, so I know we talked about it. Right? Yeah. There have been reports of that already. So I don't know that starting an all-out sock in the fucking mouth fight like President Trump was talking about before is the right way to handle this, because at this point, what does he have to lose? He's already killing people in his country because they don't have enough food. He's already killing people who are trying to take power from him. He's killing family members who are trying to take power from him. At this point, what does he have to lose, right? He showed us that he's fucking crazy. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to stop him from doing something like that, especially when he has the precedent that so much of the rest of the world does that. Well, America's already done it. They already came into Japan and they already did that. So why would I not do it to America? You know, they've already showed that that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how many times, no matter how many of our leaders have been like, that was a terrible mistake, you know, and like, we regret ever doing it and we're sorry, we shouldn't have done that. Like, because everybody since then has, you know, in some way or another, because we go to Japan every year on, you know, the president goes there every year, I think, on the anniversary of the day that the bomb was dropped to visit the memorial and to speak to the people and gives a speech, or at least every 5 years, you know, like, I know I've seen pictures of it, so I know they do it, you know.
Yeah, how long does that go on?
So I don't know that that is the way to do that. I also think that negotiations aren't exactly going the way that we want them to. I don't know whether or not that's because President Trump is the one that's doing them, or because we're just not compatible. You know, because I also know that on Thursday, North Korea held a press conference of their own, right, where their speakers said that the president wasn't correct in the way that he represented the discussions they had, right? The representative from South Korea said that they asked for removal of 5 of the 11 sanctions in exchange for denuclearization. And this is a quote: permanently and completely dismantle all the nuclear material production facilities in the Yongbyon area, including uranium and plutonium, in the presence of U.S. experts. Yes. And that was a point of contention before, where they were taking down sites, but they weren't letting anybody watch except for reporters. You know, only reporters can come and see, just so we can show good faith, but nobody's able to go and actually touch the things and look at them after it's been destroyed.
It's that international inspection team.
Yes, people can come and they can watch us blow it up, but afterwards it's too dangerous. You can't go there. You know, no one's allowed there. It's too dangerous, and you're not allowed to go there. So there's no way to verify that everything was destroyed, because again, they showed us that they're digging into the ground to hide shit. You know, so I don't know why we would put it past them to not have bunkers and shit underneath all of their facilities that are storing everything that's safe from a blast on top. You know, maybe not a nuclear blast, but at least a bomb. You know, they're a mile deep into the ground or something like that, and it's all cement. And so if a bomb explodes on top, then everything underneath will still be fine. You know, I don't know why we would put that past them. And so,
the ultimate, you know, what do you do about North Korea? I think it's really hard, because we've never really had a situation like this particular one.
Yeah.
Where essentially you have a nationwide cult of, you know, this hereditary personality in the Kim family.
And before I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to know that North Korea said also in that press conference that was their final offer, was to get the 5 of the 11 sanctions for, you know, total denuclearization of this area. And they said that the U.S. asked for more, and that's when they walked away, because they said, well, it was evident that they weren't willing to accept this offer, so we were done. You know? So I'm sorry, I didn't want to. I just wanted to finish that thought, because I think that's really important, that President Trump said, well, I had to walk away because they weren't going to take what I had to say. You know, North Korea is saying, well, we walked away because America wasn't willing to accept the offer that we had, you know, that we've been talking about this whole time, and they weren't willing to accept this.
Yeah, and so whether or not that was true coming from the North Koreans is difficult, because
because that's
a state propaganda machine.
And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you.
And it's so hard because you can't trust Trump.
So that's what I wanted to ask you, is who do you think is more believable, President Trump or North Korea?
I have a feeling that all the lower level diplomats, including Mike Pompeo, were probably Steph stuck landing there like, wait, what the fuck? What just happened? We had this thing we've been working on, and you guys just fucked it up. What happened? And so I have no idea what happened. I don't know. And we'll never probably ever know. Because you just can't trust Trump at his word.
Right.
For one. And you definitely can't trust the North Koreans.
Yeah.
Because it's been nothing but propaganda since its inception. But ultimately, what do you do about it? This is try to keep a quote unquote friendly relationship and hope to get back together again. I mean, if what we're talking about here is a complete denuclearization and a full relief of sanctions being the end goal, that's the only thing the U.S. will go with.
The only thing the Trump administration will accept.
Yes.
Because I think
that's true.
The moment we have a different administration, this conversation is going to be totally different.
What's Bernie Sanders going to do about it?
Oh, man. I can't wait.
Bernie Sanders is going to pull out a joint and be like, I know how we're going to solve this,
guys.
I
can't wait for a debate for him to be asked that so I can hear what he's going to do about it. Hopefully he actually said some shit and he's not just like, North Korea is a big fucking problem. We need to do this. We need to do this. This is dangerous for everybody and blah, blah, blah. Hopefully he actually has some points of like, fuck President Trump. This is what we're doing. I think this and this and this. Bernie's fucking out of here.
That would be nice. I highly doubt we're going to get that.
Yes. In not so many words. I hope that's what he says.
Right. In not so many. Well, I think that's about it on North Korea, though.
I have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Why do you think that President Trump would lie about the terms of the negotiation?
Because he always wants to come out on top. He always wants to present himself as the winner in any particular situation.
Yeah.
Period.
What do you think motivation North Korea has for lying about this? Do you think maybe to just, now that the negotiations haven't gone through, right, they've been trying to show some good faith with like the letters they sent last time, because after the negotiations they sent a letter to President Trump. It's a beautiful letter he's talked about, right? So do you think now that the negotiations have fallen out, now they're doing this to try and demoralize President Trump and make him look smaller and make them look bigger? Do you think that's because I could see that as a possible motivation.
Both sides are receding into their own corners and they're doing their protective stuff to try to make themselves look good. And North Korea does that on a daily basis. If whatever ends up happening was supposed to happen in the end, because that's the way the divine God of our leader works. And so it's essentially the same thing on both sides in a little different way. Isn't that weird to think about?
Yes.
They're both, going back, tail between their legs, but their heads are held up high.
Because President Trump is puffing his chest for his base, and for his supporters, right? Mm-hmm. But Kim Jong-un is doing it for the rest of the world, right? Because if they can claim that, no, America didn't walk out on us. We walked out on America. We came with a good deal, and they asked for more, and we walked out.
Yeah,
we came with good faith, and we walked out because they weren't trying to work with us.
Yeah,
then they're doing it for the rest of the world, while President Trump is coming home and doing it for 38% of America that wants him to be president again.
Well, that and Kim's also doing it for his people too.
Yeah,
because he needs to keep that fanatical devotion of the
certain sect of his people that are like that, because there's certainly part of them that act that way because that's what they have to do to survive. How much of the population actually believes that shit and how much of them are going along with it, no one will ever know until they are like Democratic for 20 years and all these people that are alive now are like 80 and they can speak honestly for a documentary to be like,
I think that it is. I don't think it's so much of a the truth and you're just shutting your mouth because you're going along for the ride, because they're in a total for the most part a total information blackout.
Right.
There's no way for any outside influence to get in, so they just it's the village, man. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. It's the nation instead of the village.
Well, that's like have you ever watched Vice did a documentary that's like 40 or 50 minutes long about North Korean work camps in Siberia, that they ship people on a train to Siberia, right? And those people don't even know that they're not in North Korea anymore. Like, they're never told where they're going. They're just like, you're going to be in prison forever. You're going to a work camp, and they're just on a train for fucking ever.
Oh, yeah.
And they get sent to Siberia. And I mean, I don't know how close Pyongyang is to Siberia. Yeah, I don't know, but
geographically, where is it?
They're on that train, and they get sent to Siberia, and they're just there. They're just in Siberia at a work camp. And so Vice, before they were all shitty and progressive and fucking terrible, when they were still legit journalists, they did this small documentary, and they went and found a work camp, and like, we're talking to these people, and they were like, "Oh, we're in North Korea."
It's such a shame what Vice has become.
It's sad. Because
it used to be amazing. Like those 1 hour specials they do.
Oh yeah.
Usually like on a weekly basis, I think. So good, man.
Vice was quality.
War torn everywhere, man. It was so hardcore.
Before they had their own channel, and like right in the beginning, they were really good, because that's all they were showing when they first came on, were all of these different documentaries they had done for years on the internet that were on YouTube and stuff,
Oh yeah.
Instead of being in 7-10-minute clips, they were just on TV, because they didn't have commercials from anybody. It was just programming all the time, So
back in the old what was his name? Shit. Oh, crap. I can't remember his name. The Proud Boys guy.
Gavin
McInnes, back when he was there. So it's about midway through the country, about midway north from the DMZ.
Yeah. And then how far is that to Siberia? Oh,
I mean, if you went this way along the coast, that's still technically Russia.
Which is probably how they do it.
Yeah, they send them right along the coast there. Or ship them over. You never know.
Well, these people were on trains. They said specifically these people were on trains and just took... So, there's got to be bridges and whatnot that go over these little waterways. That's so
crazy to
Jordan
think about,
told me earlier this week that Vice had to fire like 10% of their staff because they weren't making enough money. That they grew too fast and tried to diversify too quickly, and just they weren't able to keep up, and so they had to fire like 10% of their staff.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it's easy. It's an easy miscalculation to do, especially if you're in the midst of an ideological shift as well.
Well, and they just got so far away from what they were, like what made their name, that it's the old HBO specials, like the first 2 seasons of the hour-long Vice specials, are almost unidentifiable when compared to the Vice Daily News that happens now. Like you almost can't even tell, other than the actual cinematographical style. I don't know if that's the word, cinematographic style. Like you can't tell that they're even the same production company.
Yeah, it's content wise,
right? It's crazy, and even just narrative wise, the way that they are covering what they're covering,
Oh yeah,
it's because they're covering the same type of stuff, but they're covering it so vastly differently that it's almost unrecognizable. It's crazy. So it doesn't
solid intersectional journalism.
So it doesn't surprise me that they're losing money like that.
No, not even the slightest.
But I think that's all that we have as far as North Korea. So we'll keep you guys updated, obviously, but nothing tangible came out of the summit that happened earlier this week, other than like a really kind of an interesting press conference. But either way, it wasn't bad. So
yeah,
that's it as far as North Korea. Do you want to talk about Venezuela next?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we can do Venezuela.
Okay. Do you want to take a break or anything first, or are you good to go?
Are we good?
Okay.
So we had touched, what'd you say, a couple of weeks ago?
Yes. So this was episode 47 and 48, and we are in episode 51 right now.
Okay.
So it was just a few weeks ago that we talked about Venezuela in 2 different capacities. One, when the sanctions were put on, I think is the first time that we talked about it. Mm-hmm. And
one right before the aid.
We first started talking about it when Juan Guaido was voted in as the temporary president,
Yeah.
right? And so we talked about that, and then the following week we talked about it because a bunch of sanctions had been placed on Venezuela by the Fed or by the government. And so those are the reasons we talked about it, and that was like, shit, what were the sanctions here?
It was on oil for one. I know that.
Yeah, it was on all their oil stuff. I'm just trying to find, because I have actual $7 billion in one day worth of sanctions and $11 billion in a year. And this is just to give a brief overview, but if you guys want to hear more about it, obviously you can go back and listen to 47 and 48. Citgo, which is the American branch of PDVSA, which is the government-run oil company, government-owned oil company. So Citgo is the arm of that deals in America. They are able to continue to operate, but all of the money that they are making goes into a blocked account that is controlled by the U.S., right?
Yes.
And said the embassy there has been essentially emptied. And let's see here. And then after that, the sanctions were placed on January 29th is when it was. And it was blocking most companies from buying Venezuelan oil and doing business in Venezuela, except for Chevron, Halliburton, and Schuckenberger.
Really?
Yes, they are able to continue to do business in Venezuela. That will be important. Remember that I said that. Chevron, Halliburton, Schuckenberger. I don't know what Schuckenberger is, but it's one of those big ones, obviously.
Offshoot of Halliburton.
Yes. So I don't really want to go into the actual discussions like really in depthly about the government. So if you want to hear more about that, then you got to go and listen to the other episodes. Juan Guaido is the only semi-legitimate president that is actually backed by most nations on the planet.
Yep.
Nicolas
Except for
Maduro,
one of our House representatives. Does not
yes, and we will talk about that. And Nicolas Maduro is the person claiming to be president, even though he was only elected by a farce election. But he has the support of the military. Some people are defecting, but as of now, he has the support of the military. How long that will go on, we don't know because of the sanctions that were placed on them. His funds are dwindling daily because he's not able to collect any of the money or even get any money or sell his oil to most people, or at least most companies in America. A lot of other countries aren't doing business with him either.
Yeah, because a lot of those sanctions that are tied to foreign banks, which he has stashed all the money in over the years and essentially siphoned out of the country.
Exactly.
And now it's just sitting there and he can't touch it.
Yes.
Which is something I think we talked about with Juan Guaido, is not being able to have access to that money.
Right. America's just holding it, right? Which is really interesting. And so I want to talk about kind of the mainstream story, right? Like what the big story that people are talking about and kind of the narrative that's being pushed in the media. Not pushed, but the narrative that's in the media. Then I also want to talk about the not so talked about narrative that could be going on, because I think it's really important to represent both sides, especially when talking about something like this, because of things like the Iran-Contra scandal, Northwoods, things like that we've seen, conspiracies that have come out, other oil wars that have happened, Afghanistan, things like that. I think it's important to cover both sides because there is the possibility that sits there that we've seen historically.
Definitely.
So the mainstream story, excuse me, as we talked about earlier, let me take a drink of water real quick.
Get some water. And one thing about the military before we push on, since you're drinking, is he has spent, Nicolas Maduro, the dictator, almost in exile, but not quite, of Venezuela. He has spent years now essentially solidifying his military around him with loyalists and only loyalists. There has been thousands of people imprisoned and disappeared and so on and so forth that used to be part of the military that were not his fanatical supporters.
Correct.
So this is going to be a massive problem going forth. Is yes, we have been able to siphon off some people over to the good side, but he's got the vast majority of them in a brainwashed.
And the money that he has now, because we were talking about he still has the support of the military, right? It's been alleged by Juan Guaido, the interim president, possibly, I think is what we're calling him. He alleges that as much as $30 billion has gone missing from the state oil company in recent years since Nicolas Maduro has been there. So if he's able to keep himself afloat, which he's obviously able to do for now, it's from that money that's allegedly been embezzled by him and other people in the government.
Yeah.
No way he has $30 billion all to himself, but the generals, the other people supporting him have that money, if what Juan Guaido is saying is true.
Yeah.
And so let's see here.
So that money dries up at some point.
Yes. And which would also explain the absurd inflation that has been going on in Venezuela, right? Mm-hmm. That their money no longer means anything. And there is no food there. There's no medicine. There's no social programs that are happening there, which is a problem because when Hugo Chavez was there, he turned that country pretty much into a socialist economy, and so the government was supporting everybody through all these social programs. And so now that none of that exists because all the money's been taken out of that country,
it ain't there.
Nobody has anything. Right. And so there are people and when Vice was when they were still like teetering on good, they were covering Venezuela and they were showing, people that were literally eating out of garbage trucks.
Yeah. I remember those days.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
Which is sad.
And so because of that, and again, this is part of the mainstream story, because of that, because there's no food, there's no nothing, America and other countries have tried to bring aid in to Venezuela through trucks and things like that. Nicolas Maduro, in turn, closed the borders to Venezuela through Colombia.
Yeah, via Colombia.
Brazil, I think, also has a border with Venezuela and maybe one other country. 2 trucks were able to get through a border at Brazil, but that is it, right? There's been all kinds of protests. There's been trucks that have been lit on fire. There is, if you're watching mainstream media, there is a bridge that has been blocked off that people, that supposedly has been blocked so people can't get across it. That is the Tienditas Bridge.
Which is supposed to be their main
from Colombia
crossing
into Venezuela.
Yeah.
And so, it's being alleged by America and several other countries that Nicolas Maduro is now just trying to hold on to his power and doing everything he can. And, he's going to starve his people because he's not allowing aid to come through. It's incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, a couple people have already died.
Yes. Yeah.
Because last week when we were on the show, that was the deadline.
Yes.
Saturday was the deadline for him to do that. They did not.
That Juan Guaido said and that President Trump had said because he's backing Juan Guaido. And
so that lapsed and there was some push at the at the border, but nothing major has popped off yet.
Yeah, I think there's
thank goodness, but
70 people have been injured in all of the protests that have been going on. I think 2 people have died. Like I said, there's been trucks that have been lit on fire. I mean, trucks with aid, medical food that's just been destroyed at the border. He has Venezuelan.
I thought the aid was actually guns and explosives for the army, which we'll talk about later.
Venezuelan National Guard that are at the border that are shooting tear gas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the other side of this, right, which, like I said, I think is very important to represent, that is largely being represented, at least from what I've heard, by The Intercept and Intercepted and things like this and other media sources like that, right? So they are reporting. This all started, at least me looking into this. They're reporting and have proof from satellite imaging. They said that they have somebody who looked through all the satellite images of that bridge for the last several years, and there is not one picture of one car on that bridge ever.
Apparently,
and that the bridge has never been actually like
operational.
Yeah, it's never not operating. There's something else that I'm trying to. Something else, like when you take a boat and you smash a bottle of champagne on it.
Christened.
Yes. So like that's never happened. It's never been actually like sanctioned by the government for use, right?
An illegitimate bridge.
Yeah, so they're saying that they have proof, right, and that just a few miles away there's another bridge that America and the Red Cross have not applied to be able to cross. But they're using this bridge and these images of a bridge with shipping containers across it. They're using that image to say that Nicolas Maduro is stopping us from getting aid into this country via this bridge that has apparently, reportedly, never been operational.
And see, I understand that. I can understand that. And I would be really interested to see, but I also wonder if there's extenuating circumstances to that, if that is true, which is sad because coming from The Intercept like that, it makes me really go, okay, well, they don't they have a tendency to do good investigative journalism.
Yes.
So, I mean, so then is everybody just on board with that? It just makes it so hard to believe that everyone in the government's position that knows about this doesn't know that that bridge is, that's the bullshit bridge.
Right.
I mean, is everybody on board with, okay, we need to go invade fucking Venezuela and take it over. So we're just all, is this going to be another Iran-Contra?
Right.
And
so part of the narrative that is being built by them, right, and other media sources that are reporting things like this, right, is that when Maduro got into power, he went away from the Hugo Chavez type plans because he's siphoning money from the government. He's taking all this money out instead of actually governing for the people, right? And all of this is to try and build a narrative that President Trump wants to get in an oil war with Venezuela because they have the largest identified oil reserves in the world, right? So President Trump's plan and the administration's plan to do that, right, is to back Guaido and sanction Maduro to try and cut off the funds there. Already been done, right?
Yep.
Next is that the sanctions are not to stop Maduro from the money that he has because he already has that money that he's embezzled, right? But it's really to starve the people and to get the people to turn against Maduro, right? Because if they're not able to get any food or anything because there's no money coming from the government because that's where everybody gets everything from, then
build
hopefully
resentment.
they'll turn over.
You
Exactly,
got a revolution
right?
on your hands.
You take the aid trucks, right? Which thought it was really interesting. I didn't understand this particular argument, right? That Jeremy Scahill of Intercepted and The Intercept was saying that the amount of aid that's being brought in on the trucks is negligible to the amount of money that would be given out through the government for the social programs for people, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Also, that if you really wanted to help the people, you would just take all the sanctions off of Venezuela because that's the only way that they're going to get all the support is through the socialist programs that have been instilled there, right? Jeremy Scahill is a socialist. So, or at least, I don't know that he's ever said that he's a socialist, but carries a lot of socialistic tendencies and beliefs. So it doesn't surprise me that that is the thought process that he would have. I don't particularly understand how that works, but that's fine. And so he argues that the aid trucks, which are menial, are really just for show. And that's why they're okay with them being lit on fire. And that's why they're not trying harder to get through the border. That's why they're just sitting at that bridge and saying, well, we can't get across the bridge. It doesn't matter, right?
It's just a symbolic gesture from the imperialists.
It's symbolic so that the citizens of Venezuela see that the outside world is trying to help them, right? And so after that, they support a pro-American candidate, right? After they get the people to overthrow the government, to overthrow Nicolas Maduro, they support a pro-American candidate, Juan Guaido. Juan Guaido, and they force an election, right? Because you have to have a democratic election, which that's always been Venezuela's deal. They're like, well, we're not totally socialist because we have an election here, even though Nicolas Maduro, chooses. We're
a democratic socialist nation.
And then at that point, if Juan Guaido is a good enough puppet, you use him to get the oil from Venezuela through commerce. And if you can't do that, then you use this event to try and spin it into some, you overthrow Juan Guaido and you start a war in Venezuela so you can go in and you can get the oil just like we did in Afghanistan.
I mean, okay.
So
I think it's a stretch.
If you look at it through that lens, then you can I can, without asking too many questions, I can follow this line of logic.
Yes.
But again, like what you talked about earlier, even just that first step, you're like, well, what about this? Like that doesn't, and then and when you're like, if you really want to help, you got to take all the sanctions away. You're like, well, then he just continues to do what he's doing now, which is embezzle money out of the country and not give anybody anything. So I don't know how that benefits the people any more than at least some aid, since we can't provide billions of dollars worth of aid, right?
Yeah.
One thing I'm sorry, go ahead, and then we can talk about this. One thing I think is really interesting is there are so many people in Trump's base in particular, right, that their argument against the Democrats for the wall, right, was that they're like, oh, Democrats say that we don't have money for a wall, but they want to send money to other countries, for humanitarian aid, right? And so that was their deal. It's like, how do we not have money for a wall if we got money for this, right? But now now that President Trump is like, we got to do something about fucking Nicolas Maduro because this shit's bad over here. You know, people are like, his base is like, yeah, that's fucked up. He's a dictator. Democracy first. We got to get in there. Send that aid in. You got to help those people. You know, it's weird, right?
It's the blind loyalty to the Trump train.
I got family members. I remember specifically like a meme. It was a political cartoon, you know, that was like, oh, we don't have enough money for a border wall, and then it's a truck filled with cash that's like support for Central America, you know, and it's fucking flying down the road. And it's like, that's so fucking ignorant. Like, that's so ignorant. Like, I know you're ignorant because it takes 2 steps of thought to get to a point where you're like, well, that's weird. You know, like, that's contradictory that I said that, but I'm like, fucking, you know, send that aid in there, dog. Like,
yeah, it's because it's all 4D underwater interdimensional chess. You know? That's how I don't know how they justify the blind allegiance, man. It's so hard.
So one thing that one piece of legitimate evidence that I can lean to that, right? It's what we talked about earlier, the fact that Citgo is still operating in America, and the money that we're taking, we're holding. We're not giving to Juan Guaido. We are not trying to help him so that he can get more of the military over to him. Be like, yeah, I got money at least for now to hold you over until I get in the government, and then I got all your money because I got all the stuff back, right? So instead of giving it to Juan Guaido, they're keeping it for themselves, right? And there's also certain companies that are still being able to operate in Venezuela, right? Even though supposedly, you know, we're the number 1 exporter of oil and natural gas in the world, and we don't even need other countries to support our oil. And, you know, don't worry about Saudi Arabia because we don't need their oil. This is really about us getting money from them for guns, not about oil. You know, we don't need that.
Yeah.
So why is it?
We're still doing it.
So why is it that Chevron is able to work there? Halliburton is sketchy the fuck enough. When we're talking about Afghanistan, they're already just keeping their toes in there. So again, following that, right, if there is going to be an oil war, who's going to be there to clean everything up? Fucking Halliburton, just like they were in the Middle East, right? It's not going to be any different just because it's South America. They're going to be there if they're already there, right? And
that's the modern day. You know, that's what the military complex has. Industrial complex. The military industrial complex has created a world in which it's okay to go in and essentially wipe out a nation in the name of liberal democracy and freedom of the people and stuff, but then we're going to rebuild it afterwards.
So
it's a sketchy fucking business model.
So I'm not by any means saying that I'm buying into this other narrative over here, right? But I am saying that sticks out to me, and that is sketchy because I know that's the truth, that these companies are being able to continue to operate there. Chevron, as everybody fucking knows who buys gasoline, is like one of the largest gasoline companies in America, right? One of the largest oil companies in America. Halliburton, as we just talked about, has already been sus as fuck with Dick Cheney rebuilding shit when, you know, going and destroying things under the advice of Dick Cheney and then being rebuilt by his company, you know? So that's weird. That is sus that those companies in particular are able to continue to operate in Venezuela. And I said, even with the oil companies, because supposedly we don't need anybody else's oil. You know, we can do it all on our own.
Yeah.
So
I'm
why
not
does
black
Chevron
and white
need to
on
keep,
that?
You know?
Yeah, I'm definitely not like black and white on that. Because I would like to know the reasoning why. Because there might be a legitimate reason.
Yeah.
There might be, and so I don't. Maybe. You know,
the
really possibility is enough that could exist, but it does look suspect.
I think it's super sus.
Especially when you have a company like fucking Halliburton.
Yeah. So that's all the notes that I have on Venezuela itself. That's really like up to date with it. But like I said, I think it's important to at least note both sides because history has shown us there's a possibility of the government doing sketchy shit, especially with a president that no one can believe anything that he says. And
who's running so on an anti-war platform that it makes me go, wait,
it's convenient
what the hell
when he
are
needs
you?
it to be.
Yeah, like, are you really going to just turn around and, you know, just say, fuck it? We have to do that? Are people going to blindly walk away from, you know, the no more foreign war talk and just say, fuck it? No, it's Venezuela. It doesn't count. This isn't the Middle East. It's different.
Right.
It's just, you know, a different fight.
Right.
I don't know.
And we talked about a week before, this again, it's the same type of like Michael Cohen type of deal, but Andy McCabe, who used to be the deputy director of the FBI, he has claimed in his book that he heard President Trump say that he would love to start a war in Venezuela to get the oil, and it's just in our backyard, so we can use the Monroe Doctrine and everything is cool. Mm-hmm. Again, whether or not you believe Andy McCabe is something else. I'm not telling you that's a fact. I'm telling you that it's been reported in someone's book. So if you think James Comey's full of shit, if you think that Andy McCabe is full of shit, if you think that Carl fucking Bernstein is full of shit, then that's fine. But if you think that those people have told the truth, then that is another piece of evidence that lends itself to this narrative that's being propped up mostly by The Intercept, at least from what I see, but is also important to note that The Intercept has been a notoriously legitimate news source when it comes to facts and, I mean, just the
that they do a lot
quality of their work.
The investigative, journalistic quality, reporting on stories that no one else does.
Yes.
They do a very, very good job. And, their narrative obviously gets pretty wrapped up in it. But as far as uncovering the actual information, they're very, very good at that. And so that's what, with this one, when they're the only one reporting on that, I go, I want to believe a lot.
We just have to wait because that was pretty new. That episode was only from last week, maybe. So that's still like, especially for them when they're on stuff like this, it's usually a couple weeks before, So I'm willing to give it more time and see how legitimate that is. But it is being reported.
Yeah,
so.
It is interesting, man. And God help us. I don't want anything bad to happen in Venezuela, man. But I don't see this getting great anytime soon. It's just going to continue to spiral down, I think, until an open revolution.
Yeah.
And who comes out on top of that revolution without foreign intervention? I don't know. It's bad.
So that's all that I have for Venezuela. So we can touch on some ISIS brides if you want. And then move into just have a little bit of pop culture and then some sports, and then we can get the fuck out of here.
Let's do it.
Thanks about that. So... let's see. The ISIS brides. Hoda Mutana, and then there's another woman. I don't know what her name is because this is the one that has been catching a lot of. This is even a little more pop culture, really.
So it'll be a good segue topic.
So when she was a college student in Alabama, she left America to go and join ISIS in Syria, right?
Join the caliphate.
So
Return
she
home.
went there, and I believe that she renounced her citizenship while she was there. I don't know, formally, or she at one point talked about burning her passport, or whether or not she actually did. Who knows? Because she has it. They just said it wasn't legitimate, right? So she never actually burned it. And there's some gray area around this legally, right? Because when she was born in America, but her dad was a delegate from Turkey or something like that,
something
right?
Like that.
Is that here? I
want to
have
say Turkey.
Yeah, I have
I can't remember
article about it here. I'm sure. And so she was born in America, but the argument, especially from the people who don't want her to come back, is that it doesn't matter because her dad was a foreign
diplomat.
Was a foreign diplomat, and so she wasn't covered under the 14th Amendment because she's not covered under these laws by diplomatic immunity. She's covered under the laws of whatever country her dad was a diplomat for, but then. It says that he was discharged. This is from the Washington Post. But the documents provided by Muthana's lawyer indicate that her father had been discharged from his diplomatic position by the time of her birth on October 28, 1994, by which point her mother had also gained permanent residency status. And when the government revoked the young woman's passport in January 2016, it stated in a letter that she was not a birthright citizen because her father's termination had not officially documented until February of 95, which would be 4 months after she was born, claiming A claim disputed by the family's lawyers, who point to notice from the United States mission to the United Nations dating the end of his service to September 1st, 1994. And so that's that's where the dispute is. That in the actual, like, he stopped working there in September. She's born in October, but the paperwork or whatever isn't filed until February. Like, it's not finalized till February.
Yeah.
So this is going to be argued until they're in front of some type of grand jury or regular jury that decides this. And she probably won't even be in America when it happens, you know, because she's not going to be allowed. I think maybe she'll be in Guantanamo Bay or some shit, being held until she comes here. I mean, I don't, because they're not going to, I don't see them letting her into America to wait, and I don't know where else they're going to hold her. Right now, she's in a Kurdish refugee camp.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess she could stay there, but if they move her from there, they're not bringing her to America.
No.
So
I don't see that happening.
So I know Guantanamo Bay is harsh, but that's the only thing I can think of for her to go other than coming here,
Yeah.
Is Guantanamo Bay.
God, that's just...
Maybe they put her up in a barracks or some shit because she's not a terrorist. I don't know.
Or is she?
Because there's
that's
also...
the question. I mean, before you get down... I mean, so the legal side is one side of this, right?
Yes, and now there's the... Because that's the legal side, right?
Yeah.
Now there's the personal argument of whether or not people think, and you think, I think that she should be let back into the country, And motherfucker, if you want to go join ISIS, then fuck you. Like, you chose the caliphate over America. Like, when you were there, you actively spoke in favor of terrorism on Twitter and on social media, trying to incite violence in America.
Yep.
And now that you say that you're sorry, we're just supposed to say okay. Like, if we found a Jew now, or not a Jew, if we found that's terrible. If we found a Nazi now who was involved in the Holocaust, we would kill them. Like, they would stand trial, and they could possibly face a death sentence. So why the fuck should we take you in now because you say you're sorry? Because almost certainly, if you find a Nazi now who was involved in the Holocaust, he would be like, listen, I fucked up. Like, it's been a long time. I made a horrible mistake. I don't want to die. I'm 90 years old or whatever. But because it's been a couple years and you're like, I like experienced all these terrible things when I made this decision. Like, I'm really sorry. We should just be okay with the fact that you actively supported something that's trying to destroy America.
It's a fine line, isn't it?
Like, really?
At what point? I don't know. Like the old Nazi war criminal analogy. That's kind of a hard one, I think, to
you think that's too harsh?
It might be. I don't know if it's harsh. I think it's just a different situation.
Yeah.
And
it was the first thing that came to mind, the closest comparison I could think of a situation that we might find today. If you were somebody who was...
because there we're talking about legitimate open war crimes during, nations at war and stuff, whereas
and
here
hers
this
are
is
disputed.
And this is a terrorist organization that said they founded a nation within a nation, and I guess you treat them like a rebel group. Yeah. But, what you do with the casualties of, the war fallout, as far as I'm concerned, you've made your bed and you're going to have to lie in it. Yeah. If you were captured and all that, you're just up to the mercy of whoever captures you, man. And
the Kurds got you.
Yeah, which Kurds are some hardy folk.
And that's why she's in a fucking, chain link fence camp and not allowed to leave.
Yeah, because, what do you do about that? They're essentially, as far as the Kurds are concerned anyway, they're prisoners of war. Yep. What do you do with that? I don't know. And as far as I don't know what the Kurds do with that. As far as we're concerned, should we let her into our country? I'd say absolutely 100% not.
Well, the administration doesn't, feel the same way. President Trump said that he had ordered Mike Pompeo to not grant her citizenship or entrance to the country. So,
yeah, and I don't see how you can. You made a mistake. Well, guess what, man? Some mistakes you can't walk away from. Right. That was bad enough. There's plenty of other Western nations that might take you, maybe. Go, or you made your bed, you're going to have to lie in it, maybe.
That's so maybe, here, let me give you another
example. It does
example.
seem kind of inhumane when I'm just like, well, fuck it. She can burn in hell and, deal with the shitty situation she's in. But I don't know.
So let me give you another comparison, right? a couple of weeks ago, when I was home with a baby, I was watching the news, and I don't remember where, but I saw a story of a kid who had come up with a whole plan to execute a school shooting, and was stopped beforehand by his grandma. Like, he had guns, he had a plan, he had a whole deal.
Wow.
Still going to prison, because he planned out this elaborate plot on how to murder excessive amounts of people at his school.
Yeah.
So that guy's still going to prison for planning this out, even if she didn't actually carry out any war crimes, even if what she says is true, right? All she did was go and she got married and she had some consensual sex, some non-consensual sex. She had some kids. She got divorced. She had whatever, all this. And now she ran away because she realized she made a mistake. If we're not forgiving this kid for not killing anybody, why should we forgive her for turning to, again, a terrorist organization that wants to destroy America, that actively spoke about killing Americans? Why would we allow her to not at least do prison time? Even if she does come back, she's going to fucking prison. If there's no reason she shouldn't go to prison.
Yeah.
If we're going to hold that kid accountable for what he did, well, why would we not do that for her? Because if you're going to go,
I'm trying to find arguments for letting her just back in.
Because if you're going to go,
I don't see it.
If you're going to join the caliphate, you're going to do whatever they tell you to do.
You've become an enemy at the state at that point.
If they decide that you're going to kill people, you're going to kill people, and which would be, from what I understand, abnormal because she's a woman. But if that's what they decided for whatever reason, that you're going to kill people,
she would have
that's
to do
what
it.
you're going to do, So I don't
do you
know,
do with that?
Just because, I don't know, it seems strange.
It's a weird gray area morally.
And for her sake, it's unfortunate timing that she came out during the Trump administration, because if Hillary Clinton, maybe not Hillary Clinton, if there was another Democrat in office, then she might stand a chance of having that executive argue in her favor, that she made a mistake. You should come back, let her stand trial, let her do this and blah, blah, blah. And President Trump said, fuck her. She's not coming here. We're not giving her a certificate. We're not giving her nothing. She's staying there. You did this,
Yeah.
And I don't see anybody, like I said, telling her she can just come back and live here. I think even a Democrat of the most progressive order, would say she has to come back and stand trial for what she did so we can bring some witnesses and see whether or not she actually did anything. We have to let the federal government, the FBI investigate, the CIA investigate, see if she did anything, if she can be tied to any crimes. And then we can decide what happens to her.
Which crimes? Because, there's got to be a...
It would take forever. That's what I'm saying. She would come back and sit in jail until that happened. And so she'd be in there for years until they decide whether or not she stays there or she gets to, go free.
Screw Guantanamo. Let's just take back over Australia. Let's just make Australia the
just
world's
put everyone
Elon.
there.
No.
That's what we used to do, right?
New pet project for Elon Musk. The moon is now
Super prison?
That's super prison.
Ooh, have you ever seen the show Super Jail on Adult Swim? Oh, it's fucked up.
Super jail.
Yeah, Super Jail.
I think there's a really crappy Gerard Butler movie about a prison on the moon or something like that.
There's a Sylvester Stallone movie about how he's the best escape artist ever, and they build a super jail, and he gets brought in to try and break out of it because I think. Maybe I haven't seen it, right? But someone has a plot to escape, or they did escape and they don't know how. But then I believe it turns out that it's really a plot to just keep Sylvester Stallone in prison.
Oh.
So then he has to find a way to get out,
Man.
Super jail.
That's... what movie did that the right way? The Rock with Sean Connery. You got out of Alcatraz once. Let's get a team of commandos in. That's such a great movie.
I know what you're talking about.
Nick Cage and Sean Connery?
Fuck
yes,
Nicolas Cage.
Please. I love everything that he does, including all the terrible garbage. Because it's just another type of experience, man. But yeah, that's kind of where we land on the ISIS brides, I guess. Don't know what to do with them, but if they come back, they got to answer for their crimes.
Yeah.
That's kind of what boils down to, I think.
That's really where it's at, that it's really at this point a matter of opinion. Well, kind of.
While the legal question works
Yep.
itself out. 'Cause
Exactly.
if they are not citizens at all, they have no rights here anymore. They denounce your citizenship and you become an expatriate. You no longer have any legal rights other than, our God-given human rights or whatever that we impose on other nations.
Right.
Man, I'm telling you, did you ever listen to that Hardcore History Addendum?
No.
That latest one? Oh, my God.
No, I didn't.
You have to, because it is essentially his... It's like this other guy, what is his name? I'm going to butcher his name, but he's an Italian historian podcast guy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but it's essentially just a like a longer form version of his Common Sense podcast that he used to do where he talks politics. But he is speaking to a historian, and they're rooting all of their conversation in historical fact, but they're talking about the present day situation.
Word.
So it is a cheater version of a old Common Sense, and they implanted this idea as America as an empire, right? Mm-hmm. And one of these days I would like to talk to you about this, but essentially it's America is an empire in no question when you think about if our product is the Western values, McDonald's, Starbucks, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Then we've infected the majority of the world. We have done that in essentially a capitalistic empire.
Even just militaristically.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's, that we always argue is under the eyes of national security or, you can even call it nation building at that time.
It's more about us than them.
Yeah. But in this case, this is just pure Western democracy,
right?
Being
capitalism,
pushed on other people through capitalism, and it really got me thinking. I was like, man, I can't not see America as an empire now. Not necessarily that I disagree with it, but in the modern sense, an empire that has so much economical control over most of the world, the developed world at least.
Right.
It's crazy. So, yeah, ISIS brides. So listen to that podcast because it's amazing.
Yeah. So that's it for the ISIS brides. So we can hit up a little bit of pop culture if you want, and we can get some sports and get the fuck out of here.
Woo woo!
Word. So pop culture. There's going to be a movie about Ted Bundy. I don't know if I told you this or not. There's going to be a movie about Ted Bundy, and Zac Efron is going to play Ted Bundy. People are fucking pissed. They're pissed that they're using somebody who's so handsome like Zac Efron to play Ted Bundy. But that was I don't think Ted Bundy was a good-looking guy because I exist in modern day. But from what I understand, for like the 70s, he was a really good-looking guy. That's what everybody always talks about. He was super handsome and really charismatic and shit. So, like, that seems like right up what you want is to have a Zac Efron, to play Ted Bundy.
Well, I mean, at one point, President Trump was compared to the good looks of Robert Redford. So, just saying, yeah. No, I totally believe you.
That's funny.
And so now they're going to have a modern good-looking guy, huh? Is he... I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, no, he's that pretty boy like in Neighbors. Is that movie?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's Zac Efron. Also,
I used to hate on Zac Efron so much because he was
he
such like
used
that.
to be a tool, and now he's pretty all right.
But he's funny.
Yeah.
He's
really
a good
funny.
comedic actor, man.
Neighbors is a really funny movie.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see that because there's something terrifying about like a beautiful psychopath.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the American history, or no.
American Psycho?
American Psycho.
Where Christian Bale.
Yeah, good-looking Christian Bale, but he's also a total fucking psychopath.
Murdering people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
So, R. Kelly
is going to jail.
Yeah, they had the whole fucking documentary that came out about him surviving R. Kelly, that alleged all these different sexual abuses. And so last week, R. Kelly pled not guilty on, all 10 counts of aggravated sexual abuse. And I wrote down here that Michael Avenatti, porn lawyer for Stormy Daniels, he was the one that gave the video over to the investigators that helped get R. Kelly indicted. How do you feel about that?
I love every second of
Michael fucking Avenatti. So I thought that was really interesting. So,
Man,
let's see. Excuse me. I'm so sorry about my nose.
how did he get them tapes?
Cook County State Attorney Kimberly Fox confirmed the alleged abuse took place over 12 years. 4 victims involved. 3 of them were underage at the time of the abuse.
Yeah.
As for the $1 million bond, Kelly wasn't able to pay the 10% required release for complete police custody, so he does not have the $100,000 to get out of jail. So
Wow.
he's just going to have to go ahead and sit there.
Poor R. Kelly doesn't have $100K sitting around.
Nope.
Wow. You better get your real estate lawyer on the phone and sell that fucking, sex cult house that you got going on, Bo.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what this all kind of boils down to. He was running some kind of weird sex cult type thing out of his house, right?
Yes. I have not watched the documentary. I might look for it now because I don't know like the exact details, but yeah, I know that there's like people being chained up and shit and like being forced to do stuff and all kinds of bad shit.
I've heard some real crazy stories about that.
Yeah.
Chappelle. Drip, drip, drip. On you.
And then the one last thing I want to talk to you about is like a little bit of a heavier thing, but also not, because I heard someone, social media, doesn't matter where, people making the argument of like when Ralph Northam got called out for the picture where he's in blackface and he's standing with the person who's dressed in the KKK outfit, right? People who are like, well, like it was a different time, like it was the 80s and like, people just thought about like things differently and blah, blah, blah. And like, I've like heard people make that argument, and I'm like, that's fine. That doesn't make it not racist, like just because like I have family members like, generations back that were in the KKK, and like, if they were around now, that wouldn't make them not racist, just because they like, it was a different time, at that point we were just hanging black people and like, that's what people were doing, we didn't think that like they were equal and like everything else, whatever. Like, I don't understand that argument, just because it was the 80s doesn't mean it's cool to do blackface, because
it wasn't cool in the 80s, first of all.
Right.
It would be,
right.
You might be able to make that argument if it was in the 50s. Because it was still pretty widely
people are doing
spread.
Movies in blackface.
Yeah.
Like,
but even then, you still have, you can't
it was
be
still
racist. Yeah, it
like,
was still, and then you could say, my bad, it was terrible, it was in poor taste, blah, blah, blah. But you can't justify it by the timeline.
So,
but you can say that, I haven't thought that way in a long time.
Right.
I am not the same person.
Well, and then he lied about it. And that was and that's at the end, because I had a discussion with somebody about it. And at the end, I'm like, and it doesn't matter, whether or not you're like, it was a different time, blah, blah, blah. He lied about it. In the end, he lied about it. And that's what really matters, is that he would maybe have a chance of redemption if he said, I fucked up. Like, I went to a party, made a mistake that like, I thought it was funny, it was cheeky, whatever. I realize now that that's racist as shit, and I should never have done that. Instead, he was like, yeah, that's me. Oh, no, that wasn't me. That's bullshit. That's not me. I didn't do that. I didn't have nothing to do with that, You shouldn't have lied about it, and then maybe you would be okay. But
yeah, if you didn't lie about it,
no chance, because you lied about it.
Yeah. Ralph Northam is so screwed.
So let me ask you about something, right? Because I have a personal experience that I want to ask you about, right? When I was in the 5th grade, my teacher's name was Mr. Weatherby. 2005, by the way, I was in the 5th grade. just so that you know.
So you're a graduate. That hurts my soul.
So I was in Mr. Weatherby's class, and there was another teacher. I don't remember what her name was because she only taught there for like 1 year. Miss Jacobson.
Because you drove her insane.
No, she wasn't my teacher. Her class did a project where they had to pick a historical figure and like dress up as them and like write out like a biography, and like they did a wax museum deal.
Okay.
Right? Where you sat up there and like all the other 5th grade classmates, we walked through and saw it, right? There's one kid that I knew. His name was Tyler. I don't want to use his last name, right? So, but this kid, Tyler, that I knew.
The creator.
Yep. So we're in the 5th grade, right? So we're like 11 years old or something like that. So Tyler picked Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Right? So in Tyler's, who is a male, just so that everyone knows, just so that there's you could name a girl Tyler probably. So he picked Oprah, right? So in his attempt to be a wax figure of Oprah, he totally like painted his skin brown, like on his face and his arms and shit, right? So when we were 5th grade, we're like motherfuckers being Oprah, right? As an adult, I can look back and be like, motherfucker was in blackface and we didn't know that because we were 11, right?
This is
So
okay.
So
Yeah.
Like, what's the verdict on that?
The verdict on that is Megyn Kelly got canned for saying some shit like that. That's the social verdict. But my verdict on that is it all comes down to intent.
Yeah.
And there's no way to prove intent, right? And so, we hear, especially around Halloween time now, like, if a little white kid likes listening to, some kind of black hip hop artist or something and wants to dress up like them, today you're not allowed to do that because it's racist to do that. It's cultural appropriation.
To even dress up as like a Native American or anything, like a traditional Native American garb is racist.
Yeah, and the minute you tell an innocent kid that he can't do that, you've just now made him, like, you've given him the intersectional look at different people, different races. Like, now he has that embedded in his head, whereas before he just liked that person for X number of reasons, period.
Like this year, I remember, the movie Moana?
Yes.
So there was all kinds of controversy around people people's kids who were not Pacific Islander being Moana for Halloween. They're like, that's cultural appropriation that you're taking our fucking Disney movie away from us, and your kid wants to be Moana. That's fucking racist. Like,
yeah.
You're fucking kidding me, right? You're saying that my 6-year-old is racist because she wants to be fucking Moana? Like, so she can't be Moana. She can't be the woman from the Princess and the Frog. She can't be any of this shit. If you're black, you can't be Snow White. If you're Asian, you can't be Snow White. You can't be fucking Cinderella. But you can because you're Asian, so you can have whatever you want because you've been fucking marginalized for so long that if you do it, it's not racist to do something that was a white person. That's not cultural appropriation because white people don't have culture anyway. It doesn't. Their culture is just robbing people of their culture. That's what white people have. Yep. Like that's a real argument. Like, people really say that shit. I've heard that. I've read that. I've read people say that. Like, so I don't. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're on such a roll, man. I wanted to input my Asian Harvard lawsuit there. We couldn't do that. Asians they do not count as repressed when it comes to the university
You're right.
institution. You're right. But no, that's
Asians aren't marginalized
in all reality.
Anymore.
This is the reality of intersectional politics playing out because you group everybody in their little tribes and their little groups, and you can't do anything outside of that group.
Yeah,
because of the oppression hierarchy, so on and so forth, and it is complete and utter nonsense. And if people like fucking Rashida Tlaib cannot understand that by pointing out that as a racist act, that in itself now makes you racist because the old adage of you can't be racist against white people is complete and utter bullshit. You can totally be racist against white people.
Yeah.
You could be racist against anybody.
And we're fucking doing the bullshit again.
Oh, damn it.
But you could be racist against anybody.
Yeah. It's horrible.
It's garbage.
So
is that computer glitch I keep getting.
That's all that I have as far as pop culture. So we can move into sports if you want.
Wait, you haven't been playing any video games?
I have not this week.
Okay,
but I don't have anything to do today, so I'm gonna go home and like maybe try.
Have you been playing? And you haven't touched really Fallout yet, right?
I played it a little bit, but not really.
Okay, one of these days we want to talk about that because I want to talk about. I want to get Jake in here to talk about that too.
I would love for Jake to be back in here.
Because we've been playing this game, Anthem. Carolina, I think she's streaming it on Twitch, and which, by the way, she'll kill me if I don't plug her. At Lexi Offie Kayo. It'll be right here, probably, in the edit. I love that I could do that now.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah, we could do that. So if you ever feel like, hey, boom, let's do that.
Deal.
But yeah, it's weird, this tack that certain video games are playing now. Their styles are 100% online, right?
Right.
But there's like a main campaign that you can essentially do by yourself,
or with other people.
Yeah, but then there's this whole open world kind of Destiny type thing.
You just kind of run into people sometimes.
Yeah. But anyways, we'll save that for next time we get Jake on. We can talk about video games.
Yeah.
But other than that, pop culture and news. I I don't think there's anything. We had mentioned the Jesse Smollett thing, and that's worked itself out. I don't think we even need to touch on that. That's about as old news now as you can get.
You want to know about Jesse Smollett? Go somewhere else.
Yeah, right. That happened during the snowpocalypse, so we missed it.
So let's see here. So we'll move into sports. So let me go down to the bottom of my phone here. Man, I gotta pee so bad.
You want to take a break before sports, or you want to power through?
No, I got this. Okay.
You got this.
So I listened to Arian Foster has a podcast, and he had Martellus Bennett on there. Martellus Bennett is a tight end. He used to be a tight end. He's brothers with Michael Bennett. He used to be a D end for the Hawks. Right now he plays for the Eagles. He said that they are so not competitive with each other that they would rarely ever line up over each other when the teams played each other because they so badly didn't want to compete with each other. And so Michael Bennett used to switch with Cliff Averill after Martellus Bennett would set on the line. He would switch to the opposite side so he didn't line up over his brother, which I thought was fucking cool.
That is cool. That's an unhealthy competition to feed, bro. We don't need to do that.
Yes, especially in the NFL like that. That's like Jason Kelsey, who he signed a contract extension. I just read about it today. 1-year extension with the Eagles. His brother Travis Kelsey is a tight end for the Chiefs. There's a couple of things like the Tremaine. Shit. He's the youngest corner to ever get a reception in the league. Youngest rookie ever get a reception in the league. Happened this year. 19.
Why did you have to tell me that?
Yep.
That hurts my soul. No college? Or 1-year college, probably?
2, I think.
2?
Yeah.
Young gun. Pull this thing down if you're going to look at your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, pull it right in front of your face.
There we go. Okay, so let's get it. The Ravens, they are cutting wide receiver Michael Crabtree. He only played 1 season there, I think. I'm pretty sure the season before he was with the Raiders still. The Panthers released veteran corner Captain Munnerlyn. The Browns signed left tackle Greg Robinson to an extension. The 49ers placed their franchise tag on their kicker, Robbie Gould. And the Cowboys D end Randy Gregory is suspended indefinitely for violating the league's substance abuse policy and violating his conditional reinstatement. So,
what did he get?
Randy Gregory, I think this is the 4th time that Randy Gregory has pissed dirty for smoking weed. And so now he is suspended indefinitely for a minimum of 1 year. And so he's
got to hurry up and nationally legalize that shit so that this so-called performance-enhancing drug.
And only worse news to come later that week when defensive tackle David Irving last night is suspended indefinitely for violating a substance abuse policy because he has been popped more than one time for weed.
Smoking weed?
Yep. For weed. So that is 2 big players on their D-line for the Cowboys that they are also going to have to fill this offseason because they're both suspended, like I said, for at least 1 year. You know.
Hank Hill will be happy about that. I've been watching a lot of King of the Hill lately.
That's funny. Free agent corner Adam Pac-Man Jones, who is
I'm Pac-Man Jones.
So he's known for being a super dirty player.
Yeah.
Also for like some nefarious activities. He got arrested in Indiana for public intoxication and for trying to cheat in a casino. So he got arrested in a casino. He's also he played for the Broncos for a couple of games last year, and before that he played for the Bengals. And his last season with the Bengals in a playoff game, it might have been the wild card game and it was against the Steelers. Did a late and dirty hit on Antonio Brown, and then later that night on Twitter he accused Antonio Brown of faking his injury, and then Antonio Brown missed the next game because of concussion because he got fucked so hard by Adam Pac-Man Jones. Yep. Pac-Man Jones is kind of a piece of shit.
I guess.
The Jags are picking up Jalen Ramsey's 5th-year option. Jalen Ramsey, nasty good corner. Jason Witten, tight end for the Cowboys. He retired 2 seasons ago. Last season, he was a commentator. He's coming out of retirement to play 1 more season for the Cowboys.
What?
So he signed a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. It's going to be crazy.
I guess once you go commentator, you can go back. Because that was insane.
Demaryius Thomas. Damn, I forgot to look this up. Demaryius Thomas got arrested for vehicular assault. So I will have to keep that one on here so I can look it up next week because I forgot to look that one up.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's a heavy one.
So I don't have any details on that one, so I'm sorry about that. I heard that the Raiders, the Redskins, and the Titans have all showed interest in Antonio Brown. And I think that the Titans have a great quarterback in Marcus Mariota if he's got some good weapons, which they started to develop last year in the form of Corey Davis, and when Delaney Walker is healthy because he was out all year last year. Derrick Henry started to come out last year. They've got good players over there in Tennessee, so if they can get... If they had Antonio, that might be a nice piece because Marcus likes to sling that shit.
Yeah.
So I could see that. Ravens running back Alex Collins, he got arrested last night after it's like he got into a car accident, and when the cops showed up, he was asleep in the car, right? He said that he was taking one of his friends home and they went off the road because it was snowing. And so then his friend walked the rest of the way home and Alex Collins stayed there. And when the cops came, he had a gun and a jar of 5 ounces of weed in his car. And so when they went back to his apartment, they searched his apartment and found more weed, but only like 10 grams of weed, which is stupid as fuck. Which would explain why he's got all that weed, because he just running out of weed, so he had to go buy more. But then he has the gun and shit in his car, and I think in Baltimore that's like a really big deal. And then
pretty tight.
Last night he got waived by the team, so he is no longer going to be playing for Baltimore, which sucks because he's like really a pretty good running back. The Eagles agreed to a 3-year extension with Dean Brennan Graham, and then, like I said, the Eagles and Jason Kelsey agreed to a 1-year extension. Oregon signed a new defensive coordinator from Boise State, Andy Avalos, so that's pretty nice. I like that. Baseball contracts, that's what I was going to look up.
The largest baseball contracts.
Yep, I got this. Okay.
I'm thinking
baseball contracts.
Alex Rodriguez is in the list.
He is definitely on the list.
Definitely.
Twice. So let's see here. The top one, $330 million, Bryce Harper with the Phillies for 13 years. The last one, $325 million, Giancarlo Stanton signed with the Marlins for 13 years. Manny Machado, which I forgot to talk about last week, he signed with the Padres for 10 years, $300 million.
Jeez.
Fourth is $275 for A-Rod with the Yankees for 10 years. 5 is Nolan Arenado, $260 million for the Rockies for 8 years. After that is A-Rod again, $252 for the Rangers for 10. After that, Miguel Cabrera, the Tigers, 8 years, $248. After that, Albert Pujols, Allen for the Angels, 10 years, $240. Robinson Cano for the Mariners, 10 years, $240. Joey Votto, Reds, 10 years, $225. David Price, Red Sox, 7 years, $217. Clayton Kershaw, Dodgers, $215, 7 years.
Man.
Yeah.
People say football salaries are overrated. At least they're putting their life on the line. Literally.
Motherfucker, I'm saying.
Now knowing what we know about CTE, it's like, okay, well, I don't feel so bad now because you're probably going to have a really short lifespan and you're going to probably end up doing really something terrible that you don't even know you're doing. And whereas baseball, I mean, I get it, athletic, so on and so forth, but it's baseball. You got a piece so bad, don't you?
Yeah, no, I got this because all we're going to do is a line and then we're out of here.
That's right.
I'm just standing
Lay it
up.
on me.
Sorry if I'm on your
No,
thing.
you're good.
Oh, what are we going to do here, man? What are we going to do? You know what? Just accept the fact that you're white trash, okay? Look at yourself. You can't do backflips. You can't do karate. You're white trash.
Don't judge me.